Feeling good, feeling great. Feeling great, feeling good. How are you? Welcome into Timeline T. I am your host, the Sam D, aka Sam May Jr. Oh, it is a Friday, which means it is a sports dump Friday. Whatever news you don't want to have talked about on Monday, get it off now. Anything controversial, anything that could be salacious, anything that could be nefarious, get it off now. And then by Monday, we'll be worried about, the national champion in college basketball. Baseball is rounding into form as it just kicked off yesterday. NBA's rounding into playoff form. So there is a lot of reasons why we need to be very careful of the timeline today, because there could actually be some real tea being snuck out on a Friday. So it is a sports news dump Friday. Not a lot of salacious stuff as of yet on the timeline. You see the topics down here at the bottom. NFL coaches have a lot to say about Lamar Jackson. There was a good roundup, a good thread of just all the quotes over the past week or so in regards to the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. So that, to me, we're going to lead off with that. NFL money versus NBA money. We've been talking about a lot about NFL money on this stream over the last couple of weeks, just because of Aaron Rodgers, because of, Lamar Jackson and everything that surrounds all of that. But there was a chart that was dropped today, an infographic, if you will, that was dropped today that really shows how the NFL is just really killing it from an owner's perspective and from a league perspective, and how the players are consistently getting the short end of the stick, and how the NBA, those players are flourishing. Like it's largely known that NBA players are killing it financially, but the graph that dropped on the timeline today really put it in clear and precise perspective. And it made me just go, God damn, how can a fan of the NFL, how can a fan of a team in the NFL, after you look at this graph I'm going to show you, can ever chastise a player for trying to get their money after you see how grossly underpaid they are in comparison to a lot of sports, not just the NBA, but a lot of sports. So we'll get there. And then, I don't do mock drafts. I don't consider myself to be a draft expert or anything like that, but there was a new mock draft of the top 10 from someone who I respect in the industry, from someone who I've worked with in the past, that I was like, oh, this is a pretty solid mock draft. It's just the top 10, but I think there's some moves there that could be interesting, and it's something that I want to show y'all and see what y'all think about it, and it might stir up some conversation. So we'll get to that on the back end. And as always, if you see any tea from the timeline, because this is primarily what this stream is about. This stream is about taking tea from the timeline, taking sports news, notes, and rumors from the timeline, and displaying it all here. I go through, I research, starting from the night before into the morning of, and just, finding the news that I think is pertinent, finding the news that I think is interesting, finding the tea, the rumors, the innuendo that I think is useful information, and putting it all together and displaying it here for y'all, and just trying to, react to it, interact with it, communicate with y'all via the comments, whether live on the replay in the comment section, and just, trying to build, a successful show and stream off of that. Because I think there's a lot of information, based off doing this stream, I've been able to really pay attention to how people consume content. And a lot of people aren't consuming a lot of written content. So I think the timeline is still a valuable piece of real estate, even though, the Elon thing has been really problematic as hell. And there's even a story about that. The blue checks are going away unless you want to pay for it. And the four-letter network is not going to pay for their own people to have that mystical, magical blue check. So, and LeBron spoke out about it, and we know how cheap LeBron is, but, well, maybe we'll get to the LeBron piece of it, but for sure we'll get to the Elon taking away that mystical, magical verification check. But let's jump right into it. I appreciate those pulling up early and hitting the like button. Thank you so much. If you're pulling up late, drop that like. If you're watching this on the replay, hit that sub if you haven't done that already. trying to build up this stream here, trying to build up the momentum here. And what I'm doing here at the front is I know people kind of get in with when they get in, but I didn't want to hit the main story too quick off the top. So now that, we got a few people in here and, I think now's a good time. So, all right, NFL coaches versus Lamar Jackson. You see the title of the stream. NFL coaches have a lot to say in regards to why they don't want Lamar Jackson. So let's get right into it. Let's not hesitate. Bring in the screen. So, co-host of the Ravens Vault, Sarah Ellison. So she's close to the Baltimore situation. She has her eyes on everything that's going on there. And she has some information. She collected and put together this tweet of all the things these coaches have been saying within the last week versus how the Ravens have talked about him. So this is how NFL teams have talked about Lamar Jackson within the last week versus how the Ravens have talked about him. So let's start with the 49ers and head coach Mike Shanahan. Now let's set the table. Shanahan has 3 QBs that all do not equal Lamar Jackson. But this is his quote in regards to how he feels about his quarterback situation. We got 3 QBs that we're pretty good with right now. That includes Brock Purdy, who he's not sure when he's going to be healthy. So let's let some of this stuff sink in. So let's take this team by team and then examine what their actual QB depth chart looks like. So this is Shanahan that has a broken-bodied Purdy, Trey Lance, who's also coming off the injury, and then who did they sign? Well, they signed Darnold, right? Sam Darnold. So they got Darnold, Purdy, and Trey Lance. And now look at what we got here. We got 3 QBs that we're pretty good with right now. Okay, Mike Shanahan. Even though if you would have had Lamar against the Eagles, you would have had a better chance than, Purdy out there. And even if you had Lamar right now, you can have, you would have a better chance to be in the mix going forward than actually rolling with Brock Purdy or still trying to figure out if the Trey Lance thing is actually a thing, or dare I say, trying to see if Sam Darnold could still bring something. I mean, look, besides having the name Sam, there's not that much going for Sam Darnold. So we move on to the Bucs. Head coach Todd Bowles, who I'm not quite sure if he's actually a good coach or not. I'm glad he's getting the opportunity because there's not a lot of people who look like him who get the opportunity, but I'm really not sure if Todd Bowles should have this job. Should still have this job. But, if there's a bunch of dudes who don't look like Todd Bowles who could stink up the place and keep getting job after job after job, then why not Todd Bowles? That's when we'll know that there's true equality in the hiring system. Anyway, Todd Bowles says, we know it's time for us to get under the cap, and he makes a lot of money. Okay. I was going to do this quickly, but since he's using the money thing, he makes a lot of money. Let's see. Where's Tampa? Did I pass them? They have that much money? Wait, where is Tampa? There they go, at the bottom here. Okay, so they don't have a lot of cap space. So Todd Bowles might not be lying. But who's taking up this cap space? Are they still on the hook for Brady? Let's see who's taking up this cap space. Is there dead money? Yeah, there's probably some dead money. Yeah, dead cap. Mike Evans, Shaquille Barrett, oof. Devin White, Chris Godwin, oof. So Mike Evans is taking up 10% of the cap. Shaquille Barrett's taking up almost 10%. And then there's not a lot else there in terms of cap space percentage. So where the money at? Is this them having to pay for all the Brady stuff? Having Gronk, is Gronk still on the payroll? Fournette got his release. Is that a thing? They have 58 active players as of right now. That's going to have to come down. And we didn't even get to draft and OTAs or any of that stuff. So, but the Bucs, Todd Bowles is out here saying, it's time for us to get under the cap. and he makes a lot of money. So that's his justification of why they want no parts of Lamar. I will go real quick. Boogie Down, what's good, man? Thank you for pulling up. Yes, you finally made it. I see here. Yeah, you made it. Had to turn on all notifications. Okay. I'm glad you're able to catch the beginning. So maybe I'll have to reiterate that. I'll make a note to make sure to tell people to turn on the notifications, because that is something where I see where we're getting some of the same people pulling up, and you guys are becoming regular. So I want to make sure that y'all are able to see whenever I pull up here and start a stream. So Todd Bowles is out here. We know it's time for us to get under the cap, and he makes a lot of money. Okay. Now, at least we have actual evidence that, yeah, they really don't have a lot of cap space. So at least with the Bucks, as we see here, oh, here's where all the money is. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where all the money is. Okay. But in terms of estimated cap space, only $3 million. So that's not a lot of money, right? Let me see. I got to bring that over a little bit for y'all to see it. Yeah, I got to bring that over. Yeah, now that still can't. There we go. Then not a lot of money there, right? Okay, so we'll come back over here. Nope, not that one. Okay. Got to move these windows around a bit. Okay. So now we'll move on to the Colts. So the Colts did not rule out Lamar Jackson specifically, but owner Jim Irsay said, and we talked about this last week, I believe, as an owner, I do not believe in fully guaranteed contracts. When you have a rookie QB, it gives you the opportunity to build a franchise for the first 3 or 4 years. Now, I want to believe Jim Irsay when he says this. And I want to believe that Jim Irsay actually would go sign and make a deal and give up the collateral necessary to go get Lamar Jackson. But here's the problem when you have someone say, as an owner, I do not believe in fully guaranteed contracts. When you have a rookie QB, it gives you the opportunity to build a franchise for the first 3 to 4 years. Here's where that's a problem. Can y'all name the last 3 starting quarterbacks, opening day starting quarterbacks for the Indianapolis Colts? That would be Phillip Rivers. That's not a rookie quarterback. Carson Wentz. That's not a rookie quarterback. And Matt Ryan. That's not a quarterback. That's not a rookie quarterback. So what is Jim Irsay telling us? This is just nonsense. This is just gibberish, because you can't tell me that all of a sudden now you got the T. Now you've got it all figured out. When you have a rookie QB, it gives you the opportunity to build a franchise for the first 3 or 4 years. When you literally, for the last 3 years, have been running out retread QB after retread QB trying to catch one. Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, all retreads, all past their prime, yet you invested enough in them thinking you could squeeze out one last year out of each one of them. Now you're trying to spin the block and spin the narrative talking about rookie QBs. You've only hit on that twice. You got Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning. So if you were really about that life, you wouldn't have gone down the Phillip Rivers thing. You wouldn't have done the Carson Wentz thing. And you damn sure wouldn't have done the Matt Ryan thing. If you really believe what you're spitting here about rookie QBs, it gives you the opportunity to build a franchise for the first 3 or 4 years. If you really believe that, then you wouldn't be in a situation where you're in now, where you actually might go get Lamar Jackson. So to me, this is a smokescreen. I don't believe anything. I don't believe any of this part, because again, as much as Jim Irsay is saying he does not believe in fully guaranteed contracts, we also had another quote prior of Jim Irsay saying that money's not the issue. So which is it? Is it the money or not? Which part of this is it? So we move on to the one who's the most scared, Arthur Blank. looking at it objectively, which he's not. He's looking at it biasedly, but he's going to tell you that he's looking at it objectively. So let's believe the narrative. Looking at it objectively, I'd say there's some concern over how long he can play his style of game. Hopefully a long time, just not for me. But he's missed 5-6 games each of the last 2 years. Each game counts a lot in our business. Okay. Here's the problem with that narrative. And I've been sitting on this tweet for a minute. I'm very thankful for the person who put it all together. Let me just make sure I have it framed up. Okay. So looking at it objectively, I'd say there's concern over how long he can play his style. That's the key there. His style of game. Let me introduce you to this chart. And this is done by a doctor. Okay? Sports fantasy injury expert. Sports medicine physician specializing in regenerative medicine. Okay? Rushing QBs are injury prone, and he gives you the little SpongeBob typing there to let you know what's about to happen. Rushing QBs are injury prone. Percentage of games played. Trevor Lawrence, 100%. He's had toe, hamstring, and ankle injuries. Josh Allen, 95% of games played. He's got a bum elbow. Also runs a lot. Jalen Hurts, 92% of games played. He's had ankle and shoulder injuries. Joe Burrow, he's mobile, moves around a lot, will scramble when need to. 88% of games played, and that's including missing a whole year with ACL. Kyler Murray, 86% of games played, and he's had hamstring, ankle, and now an ACL injury. Then we have Lamar at 85% with ankle and knee injuries. Daniel Jones with 83% of games played. And that includes ankle, hamstring, and neck injuries. And Justin Fields, 82% with ribs, ankle, and shoulder injuries. And again, Lamar's injuries were in the pocket. Okay, so this 85%, these ankle and the knee, those injuries occurred in the pocket. Not running, not sliding, not getting crushed, anything of the like. In the pocket. So we have QBs that have the propensity to run. And you see the percentage of games played with these QBs that are allegedly their playing style leaves these GMs, coaches, and owners like Arthur Blank to make statements like this. I'd say there's some concern over how long he can play his style of game. His style. As if these other QBs don't exist. As if Josh Allen doesn't run. As if Jalen Hurts doesn't run. As if Joe Burrow doesn't run when he has to. As if Kyler Murray doesn't run. And Trevor Lawrence as well. Percentage of games played. So again, there's a lot of narratives here where people are just going to say things. And again, I just wish there would be some transparency where the coach would just be like, yo, I'm just not trying to pay him. Or I'm not trying to be the one that sets the precedent that makes it so all QBs going forward start getting fully guaranteed money. I would love that type of transparency. As much as the blue check boys and girls in the media want to hear from Lamar and want him to publicly proclaim how much money he's looking for, how about we get the same type of transparency from these NFL coaches, owners, and the like, and say, yo, I'm not trying to be the one that gets roasted giving Lamar that money. Just say you're scared. Arthur Blank is scared. I mean, but this is the man that gave Michael Vick all that money back in the day. Had no problem doing that. He was going to go get Deshaun Watson. If it wasn't for the Browns blowing them out the water with the offer with fully guaranteed $230, Arthur Blank was going to do what was necessary to trade for and then sign a guy coming off 20 plus allegations of sexual misconduct, who had blown out 2 ACLs and had sat out a whole year in a contract dispute. So he had no problem getting Vic money back in the day. No problem going hard after Deshaun Watson to the point that you let go of Matt Ryan, who rescued your franchise after the whole Michael Vick debacle. Had no problem cutting Matt Ryan because you're like, oh, we got a better version coming in. We're going to give it all up. Now you have another opportunity. And you're trying to tell me about some Desmond Ridder? And then when you get pressed, the best you could do is tell me about his playing style? And that he's missed 5 to 6 games each of the last 2 years? When that's still 85% of the games played? And when you're talking about his style, all these Russian QBs have missed around the same amount of time as Lamar Jackson? How can you justify this? Why is no one pressing these people? Where are the follow-up questions? Like, once Arthur Blank gets off this lie, how come there's no pushback? How come there's no one there to check him like, well, actually, and then have this info at the ready? I just don't understand it, man. Y'all help me. Like, I don't understand where these narratives come from. I get it if you just want to say, I just don't want him. I just don't like him. I'm just not trying to be the one to put my neck out there for him. Like, there's a lot of ways where if you could just say that, I wouldn't be on here yelling and screaming every day. If there was some sort of transparency and authenticity in this business, in this industry, I wouldn't have to be on here. I could go about my day. It's Friday. But time after time, they just keep saying stuff that's a pure lie. This is a lie. Absolute lie. We'll jump into the comments. Boogie Down's on one today. Alexandra, I see you. Thank you for pulling up. Let's get the comments going. Let's see. Shanahan doesn't want another RG3 type of QB. I mean, what's Trey Lance then? I mean, Trey Lance is allegedly supposed to be of that, right? But we haven't seen enough to even figure out if he's that. Trey Lance is supposed to be that. But, you know, I see the point you're making. But, yeah, I mean, I think in Shanahan's mind, he's like, look, we did a lot to move up to go get Trey Lance. We gave up a lot to go get Trey Lance. I need to see the ROI. I need to get the return on investment on this Trey Lance thing. So I think that's where Shanahan, if you want to cut him some slack, I'll let him live with that. If he's just like, yo, I got Trey Lance. I think there's something here that I think we can build on. But no, he just gives us, we got 3 QBs that we're pretty good with right now. You can't tell me you're good with Sam Darnold. I know the front office signed him. I don't give a damn. There's no way you can tell me you're good with Sam Darnold. You needed a Brock Purdy to come off the deck and save your season because Jimmy G had nothing left. And I actually had someone in the comments of the clip I put out yesterday arguing with me about Jimmy G versus Lamar. That's where we're at right now. Let me come off the screen for a second. This is my life where, you know, I'm not a fan of the Ravens or anything, but just because I have a strong opinion and I'm taking a strong stance in this Lamar Jackson thing, people are coming out the woodworks and saying ridiculous things, trying to get it off. I shit you not. Someone was in the comments in the clip I put up of, you know, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow trying to get the bag, and, you know, their team's trying to rush and get them an extension before whatever happens with Lamar happens. I had someone in the comments really trying to break down to me how Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G, is comparable to Lamar Jackson. This is where we're at in 2023. This is where we're at when the Ravens don't take care of their in-house business, and now it's for all of us to witness. This is what it is now. Jimmy G versus Lamar Jackson. That's what it's come to. Back to the to the screen. Boogie down. Let's see what's up. As a black head coach, you think Bowles would give a QB like Lamar a shot? I don't think Bowles has as much power as you think. I don't think Bowles can walk into that front office and dictate what goes on at QB. I think right now he's just hoping he doesn't get fired. He made a lot of changes to that staff to not get fired. So I don't think Bowles is in a position to, dictate what type of QB they go sign. So I don't, and again, I don't really know if Bowles is that good, to be quite honest with you. Like, I remember him up here in New York. I don't remember that being favorable. I don't remember that being something where he got robbed or he got jobbed out of an opportunity. They gave him a few years. I don't know if he's that good. But here's the thing. That's when you know you have true equality in the hiring ranks, where you can have a mid-black QB, a mid-black coach, keep getting hired. The problem is there's very few Todd Bowleses that get second and third chances, whereas we have a lot of coaches who don't look like Todd Bowles, who aren't as good, even as a coordinator, as Todd Bowles, that continuously get coaching opportunities. So that's when the playing field will be level. When you can have a whole bunch of Todd Bowleses where we're not sure if he's even that good, keep getting hired, fired, and rehired. That's when we'll have true parity and equality in the NFL. But knowing how these owners get down, we know how that's going to go. Alexandra, thank you for pulling up. Tampa doesn't have the cap money for Lamar. Yes, that's actually a true statement. So far of the 4 statements I've read, and y'all can see here at the bottom, there's a few more. Or maybe you can't see. Yeah, it's a few more. So the 49ers, the Bucks, the Colts, and the Falcons, out of these 4, 3 have, well, I'll give grace. 2 have lied. Jim Irsay is lying in this statement, and Arthur Blank damn sure is lying in this statement. But yes, Todd Bowles is right. They don't have the cap space, right? And Shanahan, even though he's trying to lump in Sam Darnold as one of these 3 QBs that they're pretty good with, he can always live off, well, we have our own Lamar in Trey Lance that we need to flush out to see if he's actually any good. So we'll let him rock with that. Thank you for those who are pulling up. I see you. If you can drop a like, that'd be greatly appreciated. That will let the algorithm know that y'all are enjoying this content and that more people should be pulling up. So I appreciate you. Let's see what we got here in the comments. Hitting the comments heavy here. I like y'all in the chat getting y'all stuff off. Let's see, Alexandra. Yet Arthur Blank paid Michael Vick. Yes, and gave him a lot of money. What, he gave him $100 million, right? Gave Michael Vick $100 million. I mean, before the dogs. So let's be clear. It's not like he gave him $100 million after the cases or anything. But he gave him a fair contract at the time. I think it was the richest contract at that time in terms of total value, not in guarantees, but in total value. But so no, he has done right in the past. That's why it seems like such a layup for Lamar to be in Atlanta, that city, that team, that market, that fan base, those sponsorship opportunities, all of that. And you're choosing Desmond Ridder, a 3rd-round pick that played all of 4 games last year. And those 4 games weren't like amazing. It's not like he came out there and was on some Brock Purdy. Like, it's not like that. He was very mid. So it's very hard to believe that, the Falcons know all they need to know to move forward with Desmond Ridder, but that's what they're trying to sell us. Alexandra, we would not be having this discussion if this was Josh Allen in Buffalo. Hey, look. We had a lot of discussions about Josh Allen this week, and we talked extensively about Josh Allen yesterday in regards to how, Richard Sherman, who's been saying some of the same stuff, I've been saying and y'all have been saying in the comments for the last couple of weeks, Kirk Cousins got the fully guaranteed bag. Then there was 2 contracts in between that shifted the culture back to the old style of contracts. Then we got the Deshaun Watson fully guaranteed contract last year. So between the Kirk Cousins fully guaranteed contract and the Deshaun Watson fully guaranteed contract, there were 2 quarterbacks who had opportunities to continue that trend of fully guaranteed money. And neither one of them did it. And one of them was Josh Allen. Josh Allen had a chance after his 3rd year to go get that extension and cash out. And instead, he took a traditional funny money contract. And before him, Patrick Mahomes also had the opportunity after a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP and a regular season MVP. He had a chance to follow along the same lines as Kirk Cousins and get fully guaranteed money, and he decided not to do it. He decided to sign the 10-year, $450 million contract that is only $141 million guaranteed. So you heard that right. That is over $310 million of funny money. But So yeah, Josh Allen has been brought up here. And if you look at the stats after Lamar Jackson's 3rd year and Josh Allen's 3rd year, where Buffalo felt inclined to give him an extension, it just begs to the question, why didn't the Ravens feel as compelled? The stats are very comparable between Josh Allen's 3rd year and Lamar Jackson's 3rd year. You could argue Lamar Jackson's cumulative numbers at that point were better. Yet and still, the Bills felt compelled to extend Josh Allen, but the Ravens did not feel compelled to extend Lamar Jackson. And this isn't necessarily the first time that's happened. And that's why we've been speaking about there have been 5 homegrown players from the Ravens who have asked to be traded. Very recently, like within the last 3 to 4 years, there's been 5 Ravens, 5 prominent Ravens, mind you, not like just dudes on the bench that ain't getting no run. Dudes that are starters, dudes that have been Pro Bowlers elsewhere and have won championships elsewhere since leaving Baltimore, axed out of Baltimore. Something is going on there in that organization, and we need to find out. These blue check boys and girls who keep giving us little morsels of information every single day of this team is thinking of calling this team. No. Go find out why 5 prominent players from the Ravens have all axed out over the last 3 to 5 years. Why did Orlando Brown want out of Baltimore? Hayden Hurst. Hollywood Brown. Why did 5 homegrown Ravens all want out? Go find that out. Go text your sources in the training room about that. Back to the comments. Y'all are heavy in the comments today. I appreciate y'all being active. Helps keep me going. Helps keep me focused. Keeps my engine going to stay on this stream. Boogie down. The Ravens have tainted Lamar's image around the league by keeping Roman around, who uses his QBs as running backs. NFL teams think Lamar can only play in that kind of offense. This was done on purpose. Well, certainly that's Roman's style. I mean, he did it with Kaepernick, right? I mean, that's who he is. When you sign Greg Roman, I think they signed him with Lamar Jackson in mind. Because wait, wasn't he there before? He might have been there before Lamar. I'm not sure. Again, I don't pretend to be a Raven fan, so I don't know the deep history of it. But I know Roman was there in part to assist Lamar, but they've gotten rid of him. So he's gone now. And they allegedly have a guy, but they got someone from Georgia, I think, right? From the Georgia system to pull up. And he's very much want to pass the ball. So it would be imperative for the Ravens to get this done so they can actually find out if Lamar can throw the ball. Like it would be imperative with a OC that is going to change the way this offense looks, right? So it would be imperative for the Ravens to get their franchise QB in there so he can learn this new system and get up to speed. and get to learn new chemistry with, oh yeah, Nelson Aguilar. Yeah, if I'm Lamar, I'm not rushing to come back either. Again, and that goes into them not really helping out Lamar, not really paying attention to Lamar, not really giving him the pieces needed to succeed. Boogie down, Jimmy G. Seriously, yeah, no, bro, seriously. Someone was in the comments and was going crazy about, Jimmy G. And I'm like, wait, are you for real? I thought someone was trolling. But mans kept trying to clap back. And I was just like, all right, man, like there's only so much I can handle. There's only so much. I'm willing to have the Josh Allen Lamar debates. I'm willing to have the Deshaun Watson Lamar debates. I'm willing to have top tier QB debates. But when you start throwing Jimmy G at me, like seriously, that's when I got to tap out, dog. I got to tap out. I can't do it. Alexandra, I would say it's an ownership problem in the Ravens franchise. It's certainly starting to look that way. They don't want to pay nobody. I'm really surprised they gave Roquan Smith his money. But in comparison to what Lamar would want, to what Orlando Brown would want, even Hollywood Brown would want, it pales. But still, and never forget, Roquan Smith, no agent. Ravens had no problem negotiating with Roquan Smith with no agent. We didn't hear all this, innuendo and, oh, he might have a fake agent or a secret agent running around trying to go. You didn't hear any of that when it came to Roquan Smith. So, all right, let me see. We caught up on the comments. Oh, we got a couple more. All right, hang tight in the comments. Let me push forward a little bit because I do want to get to some of these other quotes. So we have the 49ers, Mike Shanahan, Bucs head coach Todd Bowles, Jim Irsay of the Colts, Falcons Arthur Blank. Let's move down to the Panthers. So the Panthers GM, he's a great option, a really expensive option, but we're focused on more of the draft picks at this point. Is this a lie? No, it's not a lie, right? Because clearly they got the first pick, right? So Carolina got the first pick. They made the deal. They have more faith in whether it's Stroud, Bryce Young, who knows, maybe they go jump out the window and take Anthony Richardson. They got more faith in those three than a 25, 26-year-old former MVP. Couldn't beat me, but at least he has the number one pick, so he's got no excuses. If you have a guy, go take your guy, and I don't want to hear nothing when Lamar goes somewhere else or stays in Baltimore and cooks. You better get it right. That's the thing, right? It's like if you're going to stand 10 toes down and say he's a really expensive option, but we're focused more on the draft picks, okay, cool. You better hit with Stroud or Young or Richardson. You better hit. Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell. Lamar is a heck of a talent, but man, we got a quarterback. And thank God we got one. So we're good. His quarterback is one, Jared Goff. He is thanking God for Jared Goff. Now, he played well last year. He also had a lot of weapons last year. He is the most system QB that remains in the league today. He went to McVay. He was mid. Then they got into that McVay system, and away they went. Now he struggled that first year in Detroit, but he didn't have as many weapons. They improved the weapons via the draft, and now he looks like a competent quarterback. But is Jared Goff someone you would thank God over? Couldn't be me, but I understand the logic. If you're telling me I'm going to give you St. Brown, Jameson Williams, they got Montgomery at running back now. I like their young tight end that replaced Hawkinson. Like, if you're selling me on, hey, I just need a game manager, I just need a system QB, I don't need to go jump out the window and go crazy and give away all these picks and cap space for Lamar because I have so many weapons that even Jared Goff can go out here and throw for almost 4,500 yards. 29 TDs against only 7 interceptions. I have so much talent around him, he can have a QB rating of almost 100 and a 61 QBR. That's how much talent I'm going to surround Jared Goff. That's how much talent it takes Jared Goff to be nice with. He needs to have that many weapons around him for him to be capable. So he's willing to continue riding on that and say, as long as we've got all these weapons, I'm good at quarterback. Cool. Patriots owner Robert Kraft. That's Bill Belichick's decision. Now we know that's based off allegedly Meek Mill texting Robert Kraft saying Lamar wants to be a Patriot. Mind you, Asante Samuel tweeted out, "You don't want to do that, bruh. You don't want to play for Bill, bruh." Bill as in Belichick. So, whether that's posturing, whether that's, salt, I don't know. Whether that's petty, being messy, I don't know. But Asante Samuels took to the Elon app and said, hey, Lamar, you don't want to play for Bill, bruh. Have we ever found out what happened with Malcolm Butler? Has anyone ever said what that actual Malcolm Butler thing was? Just curious. You would think it's been so many years now that somebody would have spilled the beans on why Malcolm Butler was benched in a Super Bowl. But anyway, Jets GM Joe Douglas. It would be disingenuous and negotiating in bad faith if we went down the path. Right now, we have our plan. Their plan is Aaron Rodgers. And remember, we were told that, we were told yesterday or the day before that, the trade might be done by as early as the end of this week. It is now Friday, which is the end of the week. Haven't heard a damn thing about that Aaron Rodgers to the Jets thing. So, again, not necessarily lying here. It'll be disingenuous in negotiating bad faith if we went down the path. Because, they're trying to get Aaron Rodgers. If the Aaron Rodgers thing doesn't work out, then that's a different conversation. Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll. We're not interested. I couldn't imagine him being available, and we couldn't afford him. Well, let's see if they could actually afford him. Let's see. Seattle. Seattle cannot afford him. Goddamn, they don't even got a mill. They don't even got a mill available. Let me see. Can y'all see that? Now I can see the thing in full. Yeah. That's pretty rough. So again, not lying. So I'm okay if you're not going to lie. I'm okay if you're going to tell the truth. Commanders GM. Here's a lie. For us right now, we're moving forward with Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett. That sentence alone should have someone fired. For us right now, we're moving forward with Sam Howell. And let's just go ahead and do it. I don't like, calling out people, but dogs. Sam Howell. He of one game. 19 passes, 169 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. QBR of 46, QB rating of 83. You're rolling with this over Lamar Jackson. Sam Howell, he of one game. At least with the Falcons, Ritter's played 4 games. The Commanders are saying Sam Howell with 1 game. We're more confident in him than Lamar Jackson. And Jacoby, we all know Jacoby is not, he might be the definition of mid. 4-7. Like, come on, dogs. Like, 12 touchdowns. Come on, dog. Like, what are we doing? 88. Sadly, he has the same type of numbers as Sam Howell in 11 games as Howell in 1 game. So again, for us right now, we're moving forward with Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett. The lies people tell. And then to end off this thread of just compiling coach tweets, coach, GM, owner tweets, and quotes on Lamar, Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. That's the guy I want to see be our QB. That's my guy. We made a decision to go with Lamar Jackson 5 years ago. Why? Because we love him. We love him. We love the way he plays. We love his mindset, his charisma, his style, his style, his style. Who didn't love his style? Arthur Blank. How long can he play his style? The way he is in the locker room, everything about him. We love him. Well, if you love him, John, implore the front office to sign him. It's pretty simple. Implore the front office to sign him if you love him. Because right now, you have done next to nothing to get this man what he wants. You are deciding not to pay him market value. You are also not trying to convince him to take a lesser deal by surrounding him with better talent than what you have over the first 5 years of his career. So what choice are you giving him? And I'll keep saying it every stream. If you want to convince him to take less than what he wants, whether it's fully guaranteed or not, and there were reports that he just wants to make sure the guaranteed portion is more than Deshaun Watson's guaranteed money, which is $230 million. So he allegedly he wants more than $230 guaranteed. If you want him to come down off that request and accept less money, I think the only way to make that happen is to surround him with better talent than you have over the course of his career. And so far this offseason, all y'all have done is gotten Nelson Aguilar. That's not going to do it. Sorry. That's not how you convince someone to come down off their demands, especially when they have the leverage. You have no quarterback right now. You want to go ahead and give me your man's Huntley? You really want to do that for a full year? That's what you want to do? Is your man's Huntley? This is what y'all want to do for a full year next year? This? This is what you want? Because that's like, again, remember, this is a Pro Bowler. Where are we at here with the Zoom? That's a PB, Pro Bowler. These stats, 67% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That made the Pro Bowl. So, you know, it's weird to me. It's very, very weird to me. That's why Lamar has the leverage, okay? Because if they don't sign him, if they don't give him his money, this is what he's left with. Y'all are left with Tyler Huntley. Good luck to you, my friend. Good luck competing in that division with Tyler Huntley and Nelson Aguilar. You don't want him to break the bank and bend y'all over and make y'all say, okay, cool. Go get him some real help. Then maybe he'll accept a lesser contract. But until then, this is who you got. Unless you make a move up in the draft, maybe they could do a move here in the draft. I don't know. They're at 22. They got a hell of a lot of leapfrogging to do if they want to go get a QB. You know, unless maybe they take Hendon Hooker. Do they reach and take Hendon Hooker here? Just as a FU to Lamar. That would certainly shake things up now, wouldn't it? We'll go to the comments. I'll come off the screen here for a little bit. I see y'all been going ham in the comments, so let me catch up. Boogie Down. I just found out Dan Campbell was only a tight ends coach, not even a offensive coordinator, and jumped into being head CA of the Lions. How something like that happened? Well, no, he actually was also the interim in Miami. He was the interim head coach in Miami. He was trash, but I believe he was also, he did get a brief run down there in South Beach with the Dolphins. So I think that was his only stint prior to that. So I'm not sure if that's completely accurate, but the point still remains. We know there's a lot of people that skip the line, so it's fine. Let's see. Boogie down. Falcons fans would actually appreciate Lamar, unlike the Ravens fan base. I've been in a few space Ravens fans, and they are delusional. They think they would be better off without Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that's kind of been. I've only had one Ravens fan, who is Tanya, who's our Ravens correspondent. She's been one of the few Ravens fans who have been vocal in support of Lamar. Most of the Ravens fans that have been tapping into my content have been very much like, I think Joshua down here, who I see in the comments. Most of them have been very anti-Lamar, anti his stance, anti this whole thing. They're very pro-team. And I just don't understand that type of logic. I don't get that type of logic, because unless you're a multi-million-dollar, business owner like the Ravens, I don't understand how you can understand their perspective rather than the one of an employee like Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is an employee of the Baltimore Ravens. He is trying to get paid like others who perform his position at his job. And his employer is telling him, we don't think you're worth that. Even though there is a lot of evidence that says he is worth that and will be worth that going forward. This is not like the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, where they're giving him $60 million on the back end, kind of as a thank you for all the years of service. This is, he's 25, 26 years old. But everyone keeps talking about his rushing style, his playing style, his style of plays. Is he's so prone to injury? Let's go back to it. For those who are pulling up, who are new here, and welcome if you're tapping into the stream, hit that like button if you can, or if you really enjoy what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. Rushing QBs are injury prone. That's a lie. And here are the metrics that will show it. Let me make sure, get stuff out the way here. Trevor Lawrence, 100% of games played. Josh Allen, 95. Jalen Hurts, 92. Joe Burrow, 88. Kyler Murray, 86. Lamar Jackson, 85. Daniel Jones, 83. Justin Fields, 82. But, the style of play is too dangerous. The style of play can't last. And there's become this narrative where his style of play is only independent to himself. Huh? All QBs coming in now have to be dual threat or at the bare minimum mobile. So yes, Lamar might have been the first of this last era to usher in this really just run intensive QB style, but he's certainly not the only one. And again, to hammer the point home, Lamar Jackson's injuries have occurred in the pocket, not running. But the narrative continues. The narrative continues. All right, let's get caught up some more here. Alexander, they want to steamroll Lamar and make an example of him. Yeah, they're trying to. They're trying to, but I don't think they understand Lamar has the leverage. Because Lamar could sit at home, he could chill at the crib until week 10 and still collect that 32.4 franchise tag. So he is in no rush. He doesn't have to show up to voluntary workouts. He doesn't have to show up to training camp. He doesn't have to show up to OTAs. He doesn't have to show up to any of that stuff. He can chill at the crib until week 10 and still collect that 32.4. So to me, that means advantage Lamar Jackson, not advantage Ravens, because if they don't figure this out with Lamar, unless they make a draft day deal, they're stuck with Tyler Huntley week 1. And that's not good if you're a Ravens fan. Boogie down. I've seen Ravens fans say Lamar didn't deserve the money. This was back in 2021 after the 2020 season. Ravens fans were saying this. I'm not saying it wrong. I don't not believe you. I believe it. Clearly, the Ravens didn't believe it. The Ravens didn't believe it because they had ample opportunity to extend him. Him and Josh Allen were in the same draft class. Josh Allen got $150 million guaranteed. Lamar was put on the franchise tag. So, that's kind of what the team thought of him. Clearly, they either saw something or know something that makes them think Lamar is not worthy of extending. I would just like to know what that is. While the media keeps trying to hammer home how Lamar needs to tell us how much money he wants, I want the Ravens to be forthwith with the information of what did you see after an MVP year and a very good year right after that made you say, nah, we're not going to extend him. What did you see? What do you know? That's what I want to know. I don't care what Lamar does or doesn't want at this point. We know what he should want and should get, but I'm more curious as to why the Ravens didn't extend him. Why after Josh Allen gets $150 million, are you offering him 3 years, $133 million? Why? And here's Joshua. Good riddance. Well, Joshua's pulled up here before. He is not, I believe he's a Ravens fan. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joshua, but he is not here for the Lamar stuff. I don't want to assume what his stance is, but it seems very much like he's not here for Lamar. Let's see. Alexander's in the chat. It doesn't even benefit Lamar if he sits out because of the tag. I would push back against that. I think it benefits him. What is he losing? What is he losing? If he can collect the check at week 10 and they're telling him they're not going to give him his money, then why should he show up to anything? So what is he missing exactly? He's 25, 26 years old. If anything, he'll get more healthy. So I don't think there's that. To me, it's the leverage play. I don't have to be there. Y'all need me there more than I need to be there. Do I need the money? No. So I don't need to show up. But y'all have a new offensive coordinator and you are trying to win a division and compete for Lombardi. You need your QB1. But you're not going to have your QB1 unless you pay your QB1. So who has the leverage? In my head, QB1. Let's see. Josh, I don't know if Josh is trolling here. Anyone up for signing Matt Ryan after all that is what Baltimore is good at. I mean, look, if they think he's the answer, so be it. Because clearly that worked in Indy, right? And clearly at the end in Atlanta that was working, right? So, that's where stuff like that to me is like, if the Colts don't do the pick of where they're at there, let's pull up the screen. If they don't do the pick at 4, if they don't do Richardson here, right, then how can they justify, like, there's no other pick here in the first round? So unless, again, if Hendon Hooker drops this far to the second round and you do it here, then you could justify all the stuff you said about Lamar. But when you're sitting at 4, and we're going to assume this mock draft is somewhat accurate, if Anthony Richardson is there and you pass on him, then how are you not going after Lamar Jackson? How? How are you not going after Lamar? So I think this will let us know, this pick right here, the 4th pick, will let us know what type of time like the Colts are on when it comes to Lamar Jackson. Because if they draft Richardson, then we know they're out on Lamar. It's simple, right? If they don't take Richardson or any other QB, let's assume Richardson might go higher, right? He might go 1, he might go 2. Who knows what the Cardinals do at 3? They may trade down to someone who wants to get ahead of the Colts and take Richardson. Who knows? Maybe the Raiders do that. Who knows? But that's why it's like, if you're going to do all this stuff, if you're going to try to be the Colts and you're going to try to compete in your division, then you need to do better than what you've done. If you compare Lamar Jackson with Jonathan Taylor, with a Pittman on the outside, Now you could start to see the semblance of an offense that could be really difficult to stop in the South. But, you know, you want to keep running retreads out there, or you want to draft Anthony Richardson, who, unless you're going to do it like Justin Fields, to just let him go out there and run around until he could figure stuff out. Like, that's what the Bears did with Justin Fields. They just let him run around until he figured it out. Now, he didn't even have weapons. He didn't have a Jonathan Taylor. He didn't have a Pittman. He was running around out there with, you know, Montgomery, Herbert, and Darnell Mooney. That's why he was running for his life every drop back. You put Anthony Richardson with the Colts, now he's able to go out there with a bona fide running back off rip and I don't know if Pittman's a true number one, but certainly the number one on that team. Better than any receiver Justin Fields had. Better than any wide receiver Lamar Jackson has had. So, you know. Josh was trying to give us some info here. I heard his mother had a big part in working on his rookie deal. I'm assuming he's talking about Lamar. I mean, it's a rookie wage. It's the rookie wage scale. Like, there's not that much to work out. Like, that's the whole thing of the whole agent thing with Lamar is the NFL rookie contracts, especially those contracts they're tailor-made already. It's just a slot. There's not much wiggle room you can do in those contracts. So you don't need a high-powered agent to come in and negotiate especially as a first-round pick, especially as the bottom of the first-round pick. There's not that much wiggle room in that money. The wage scale is set already. So again, I think that narrative of Lamar had his mom do his rookie deal, like, what rookie deal? The slot was already, the money's already like ironed out. There's not a lot of wiggle room there. So again, I think that's another one of these narratives that keep coming up about Lamar. And I'm just like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense if you know how the industry works. Joshua again. Last year before the season, he chose not to negotiate once the regular season started. Yes, a lot of players do that. A lot of players do that. A lot of players in a lot of sports do that. We'll negotiate throughout the offseason, throughout training camp, but once the season starts, it's time to work. We'll handle that in the offseason. So, again, sure. What is that supposed to mean? Is that supposed to mean something nefarious about Lamar? Tons of players that have done that. A lot of players don't like to negotiate in season. Alexandra, the Ravens clearly are hiding something. I tend to believe that. I tend to think there's something there where you have so many players, so many players leave that organization or force their way out of that organization. Clearly something is going on in-house that players don't like. Okay? That's that step. Then you have the fact that Lamar and Josh Allen were in the same draft class. You could argue that Lamar was better after 3 years statistically, certainly in accolades, after 3 years than Josh Allen. Yet the Bills gave Josh Allen the $150 million guaranteed, and Lamar Jackson got nothing. And the best offer that we know of that Lamar has quasi-confirmed via the Elon app and Twitter is the 3 years, $133 million guarantee, which is a good deal less than Josh Allen. So the math is not mathing. Explain how you have a QB who's done all that Lamar has done before the injuries. And that's another part. That's before the injuries. That's before the nonsense of he's missed so much time. Yes, up to that third year, he missed little to no games. The injuries started happening after that third year. And again, those injuries aren't as crazy as they make you believe. Because again, in comparison to other QBs, he's right there with the rest of them. 85% of games played. But they keep making you think this man has missed so much time, like he's Kawhi Leonard in the NBA, like he's been load managed. 85% of games played for this style of play that they keep saying is so injury prone. 85% of games played. It just doesn't make sense. They're spinning in their wheels. They just keep running up. What's another narrative I could tell them? Find me another talking point. They're starting to catch on to the injury prone thing. Let's find another. Oh, he missed a lot of people wide open. He was inaccurate. Then you go and you show them the completion percentage and how it ranks with that, the fact that it's right behind Patrick Mahomes and above Josh Allen. All right, let's scramble. Well, it's his playing style. Well, we can just show you that there were two QBs in this past Super Bowl who were both playing hurt, that were both mobile / dual threat quarterbacks. They were just in the damn Super Bowl. So what style are you talking about that's so problematic? When you had two QBs who were out there running injured in the damn Super Bowl. How about if you put some help around them, around him, like those teams did them, maybe you would be in a Super Bowl. Maybe, just maybe. Instead of just having this guy go 1 on 11 for 17 weeks. Alexandra, would he not have to sit for 2 years under the tag before he becomes a clear free agent? Yes, that's how that works. He could play this two ways, right? He can sit at home until week 10, pull up and get his 32.4 and, be on the roster. So that counts as a year because he has to come back for it to count. That's the thing you have to come back. You have to come back at some point. So he has to show up and sign that franchise tag by week 10 for that year to count so he could be one more year left. And then in theory, he could run it back the same way again next year. Joshua. All right. Let's buckle up for Joshua. Lamar Jackson is a talent when he has the chance to negotiate. He chose not to. The only time he has spoken up for himself was when ESPN rattled him. How do you know that? How do we know that he only chose to speak up then? We mean speak out publicly? Okay. And that means what exactly? I'm not following. Because you tell me he had a chance to negotiate, sure. And who says he wasn't negotiating? Like, that's the thing. Like, are you trying to insinuate he has never tried to negotiate after that third year? Are you saying he's never tried to get an extension after that third year? He's just sitting and waiting for the Ravens to come to him? Is that what you're trying to say? And if you are saying that, what proof do you have of that? Well, what reporting can you source on that? And that's the thing. I give Joshua the floor. I don't necessarily have to agree with what he's saying, but I'll give people the floor as long as we can have that discourse and we go back and forth. I don't have no issues. I don't duck no smoke. They sign over the Hill players. I was teasing how the Ravens chose. Oh, no. Okay. All right. I feel you. And Joshua has one more. Yeah, the reason why Lamar and the Ravens are made for each other is because neither side is willing to take the initiative. All right. So you're saying neither one tried to step up after that third year? I find that hard to believe, especially if I'm Lamar and I see Josh Allen get $150 million and I was a former damn MVP. I'm running right to Ozzie and them. I'm like, hey, you see what old boy got? All right, go ahead and put an extra 5-10 in front of that, and yeah, I'll sign. He got 150. I'll take 160. We could go ahead and do this right now. But narratives. But let's say how injury prone he is, even though we have numbers to the contrary. Let's just keep painting narratives that don't really make sense, and then we'll take it from there. That is what people are willing to do in this situation. So. Let's see. What else do we have here? All right. So Bill Barnwell, who does a lot of stuff for the Four Letter Network, he's one of their NFL guys. Thinking about the last time we had a league-wide referendum on Lamar Jackson. So this is in reference to, people not really knowing what Lamar Jackson is or how good he can be. This is the last time. Let me see. Can y'all see all of that? Probably not. Let me make sure I may have to come off the screen there. Yeah, let me come off the screen there. So, Let me make sure. Is Billy Price first? Yes, Billy Price is first. Okay. So these are the people drafted ahead of Lamar Jackson, right? Which name stands out to you? We got DJ Moore. So we got that, right? DJ Moore. You see that? DJ Moore. The Ravens, Hayden Hurst, who then asked for a trade out. Why? We don't know. Falcons took Calvin Ridley. How'd that work out for them? Seahawks took Rashard Penny. How'd that work out for them? Patriots took Sonny Michel. Yeah, I can't see that. Patriots took Sonny Michel. How'd that work out for them? And then Lamar. So the Ravens actually passed on Lamar once. And then they said, holy shit, Lamar's still there. Let's trade back up at the end of the first round and scoop him up. And they did that, right? But look at the Patriots. They had 2 picks at the bottom of this first round, and your man's Belichick did not jump out the window and take the risk on one Lamar Jackson. They had the 23rd pick and the 31st pick. He took Sonny Michel over Lamar Jackson. Now he's got Meek Mill texting Bob Kraft, Lamar wants to be a Patriot. And we have Asante Samuel saying, nah, dogs, you don't want no piece of that. Funny to your boy. It's just interesting. And when we get caught up in all this money talk, when it comes to, and I see y'all in the chat. Give me a sec. I see y'all in the chat. Give me a sec. Here's the chart I was referencing, and let's see. I think we can finally advance to the second topic. Tell you, man, all Lamar all the time. And y'all love to come in here and to talk about Lamar, and I love that I could give y'all a space to come in here and get your opinions off on Lamar. And don't stop just because I'm only moving on just to show y'all the money and how funny money the NFL is, right? Okay. Average annual player salary by league. NBA, $8.3 million. Indian Premier League. Cricket, $5.3 million. Major League Baseball, $4 million. Premier League Soccer, just under $4 million, 3.97 mil. And the National Football League, who is aiming to get $25 billion in revenue, the average player salary, $3.25 million. And you're telling me Lamar shouldn't fight for every dollar? Out of these sports, NFL's the most violent. And you're telling me Lamar should not fight for every single penny? He should not hold out for as much money as possible? This league generates the most money out of all these leagues. And the money is low. And when you do get a bag, it's loaded with incentives, funny money. Come on, man. Come on, man. Like, at some point, we just have to realize what it is. These owners are trying to keep them in the system. Now, mind you, NBA fully guaranteed contracts. MLB fully guaranteed contracts. I'm going to assume, I don't know, but I'm going to assume the Premier League and soccer and cricket is also probably fully guaranteed money. Especially with the transfer windows that they have in the Premier League, big money being exchanged back and forth. And even the league that's right after them in the NHL, they have fully guaranteed money and a hard cap, just like the NFL. And they're not that far behind. And you could argue they're just as violent, yet they're able to get their players fully guaranteed money and a hard cap. Y'all let me know how that math is supposed to math. Let's go to Boogie Down. He's got some tea. Harbaugh is the reason players are leaving. He doesn't choose the best person for the job. He just hires buddies and friends to fill out the coaching staff, even when they are not qualified. Well, certainly in the strength room, they had to get that dude up out of there. That dude Saunders, well, whatever his name is. They had to get him up out of there. They had to fire him. They got an F- from the players and free agents on their strength and conditioning staff. So there could be something to that. Again, I'm not sitting here claiming to be a Ravens insider or anything like that. I'm just looking at this from afar, taking the research that I've done and the people I know in and around the industry and giving it to y'all straight like this. So, yep, Alexander, they have fully guaranteed contracts. NHL has fully guaranteed contracts. The NFL is the only one of the 4 major sports in this country that does not have fully guaranteed contracts for their players. And the kick about it, which when you tell this to people, they fall back. NHL has a hard cap, a hard salary cap, similar to the NFL. Because Major League Baseball and the NBA, their caps are different. They're not necessarily a soft cap, but they're definitely not a hard cap. But the NHL has a hard cap, very similar to the NFL, and they have found a way to give all their players who can step out onto that ice and be concussed, just like football players, who could go out there and get broken limbs and be paralyzed, just like football players, and yet and still they find a way to be able to give their players fully guaranteed contracts. But in the NFL, it's impossible. It's a non-starter. The owners would never bow down. I mean, I get why the owners would never bow down. That's good business. I'm saying the players and the players' union should hold firm and say, yo, why are we the only sport in this country that doesn't have fully guaranteed contracts? Doesn't make sense. Tua Tagovailoa's having, 3-4 concussions in 1 year. If he never played again, he would have gotten a sliver of the rookie deal he signed. A sliver. The thing with Hamlin in Buffalo, if he would have been done, he's a lower tier player. All his medical bills would have ate up that little salary he had. Make it make sense, man. Jump back into the comments. Alexandra, yep, and don't have to fight for the money. Yeah, because they got their money. They got their guaranteed money. And you know what? And I spoke about this early in the week. They got drugs. They can take weed, like all the stuff that the NFL has forced the players to choose. In the last CBA, the NFL forced the players to choose between, you want the franchise tag to go away, or you want weed to be implemented and you guys can smoke weed. You have to choose. And the players, through, I don't know whose advice, I'm assuming DeMaurice Smith was a part of this, being the head of the NFLPA, but they chose to have weed, so they chose to fall back on trying to eliminate the franchise tag. Hockey don't have those problems. They get all their money and they get to smoke weed and all that. And they could get concussed, they could get paralyzed, they get all their money. They could get whole rows of teeth taken out, they still get paid their money. They get broken limbs, they still get all their money. They can run over to Russia and make even more money in the offseason, still come back here and get all their U.S. money. But NFL, y'all have to choose either a franchise tag or weed. Which is it? Weird. Very, very weird. Joshua. This is more than a contract. It seems odd that he does not speak up about tools if he has better weapons or in perhaps other matters, especially if he is the face of the franchise. I would like to I would like to assume he has spoken up about that in private. Again, does he have to take to Twitter to tell us that? Like, that's the thing, Joshua. I'm not calling you out, right? But how much more do you want Lamar to speak on? Like, how much more? The report came out about the 3 years, 133. He quasi-confirmed that on Twitter. They talked about the secret agent, and he said that man has not done that. Like, he's been very vocal about what has and has not been happening. What more do you want him to do? Like, how much do you want him to just tell us every single piece of the negotiations with the Ravens? Like, and then what would that do? Do you see enough Ravens fans turning? If Lamar aired out all correspondence, let's say he's got screenshots of emails. Let's say he's got voice recordings of the meetings he's had with the front office. Let's say he's got all of that, and it shows that he's in the right. Do you think a lot of Ravens fans would then flip on the Ravens? I don't see that. Because they would just push the goal, they would move the goalposts more, because that's what's been happening. Every argument in reasoning behind Lamar not being able to get his money, you can find tangible, credible evidence and data to push back against. And that still hasn't changed a lot of fans' minds. The vast majority of people out there are not for Lamar Jackson. It is strange to me when I see people in the comments of the clips that I put out, and they're comparing Jimmy Garoppolo to Lamar Jackson. What? What are we doing? That's what it's come to when you keep hearing the same narratives regurgitated on the 4-Letter Network, on NFL Network, on the timeline, on IG, on TikTok, on all these places where we consume content, and you're hearing the same narrative over and over from people that we are told are experts, analysts, insiders, former coaches, former players. We start to just believe and take that as fact. But then when you do your own research, which is what I've been doing here on the stream for the most part, then you realize, well, that's just a lie. When you're telling me his running style is so dangerous and so injury prone, and these stats are readily available, and they show that that's a lie, but then they still continue on with the lie, it's like The Wire. We fight on that lie. Shout out to Slim Charles. That's what keeps happening here. NFL owners, NFL management, NFL coaches are all living and dying on this lie. Which lie? All the lies. He's injury prone. Here's all the running QBs in their percentage of games played. This is a lot of games played, bruh. That's a lie. You want to bring up he shouldn't want more money than Deshaun Watson, when you could say this man, Deshaun Watson, took a year off because he was fighting a contract dispute, coming off 2 ACL tears and 20 plus sexual misconduct allegations, and yet was able to still find someone out there to pay him $230 guaranteed dollars. But Lamar shouldn't want that as a former league MVP? He shouldn't want that. And then if you want to take it back a few years before that, when Kirk Cousins got the first ever fully guaranteed contract, Kirk Cousins, who's never been top 10, who's never been viewed as a franchise player, not even by the team that gave him a shot in the Washington football team, who let him go after 2 straight years on the franchise tag, and he performed well on the franchise tag, and they still said, no, dogs, you're not it. If you could go find that money somewhere, God bless. And he did. He found the Vikings, and he got them to give him the first ever and the richest ever fully guaranteed contract at that time. And then Mahomes and Josh Allen messed it up by taking traditional NFL contracts, So when Deshaun Watson got his fully guaranteed money, it looked like, oh, this is going to shake up the industry. No, the bar's been set already. With Kirk Cousins, y'all let the Vikings jump out there and bid against themselves, much like you're saying the Browns did. You let the Vikings go out there and bid against themselves and give Kirk Cousins fully guaranteed money. Y'all did that. Was trying not to get worked up on a Friday, but here we are. Here we are, man. It just, when people are comparing Jimmy Garoppolo to Lamar Jackson, that's when I just have to just like, all right, dogs, and just wave the white flag. I just waved the white flag at that point. Like, all right, man, you got it. You got it, bruh. Let's see. We'll come off the screen for a sec. Let's get some of these comments in. I see y'all in the comments. I appreciate y'all staying in the comments. Joshua, in the Pro Bowl, players try to recruit all the time. Why did the Ravens take so long before the conditioning coaches finally got fired? Because players finally kept speaking out. That's what happened. Matthew Judon took to the Elon app and tweeted out saying they should have been fired him, and I told them. Matthew Judon said, I told them to fire him. And they still didn't. And he left. See, that's the thing. Like, people are leaving that organization. They got an F minus. An F minus. Come on, man. Come on, man. Joshua. I know we had that one up already, right? Yeah, we had that one up. What's next? Alexandra. It's not Lamar's job to have to air his disappointment with the organization. Lamar shouldn't have to be fighting this organization when he has an MVP, been on the cover of Madden, etc. Yeah, he's the guy. Lamar's the guy, and he's been him. So if you're really trying to come up with a standard of what you expect, again, they took him 32nd. They took him 32nd, right? And they were able to get him and put him in a position to where he took off and won right away. And he gave you an MVP on a rookie deal. Bottom of the first round, you got a MVP performance out of the 32nd pick. Do you understand what type of bargain that is? Do you understand the stroke of luck that is? Because if they knew he was going to be that nice, they would have took him in the 20s with their first round pick. If they knew so much, if they thought they knew that, if they knew what Lamar was going to be, they would have took him at 25. Instead, they took Hayden Hurst. Okay? So if this Ravens front office was so smart and knew Lamar was going to be this, why didn't they take him at 25? Come on, man. Sometimes it's just like, come on, man. Like, crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Joshua. It seems strange how the Ravens keep on saying that we have tried and yet nothing happens. I'm interested in knowing why it seems like Baltimore is an offensive graveyard. Yeah, that's... Bro, when you look at the receivers he's had, do we want to do this? Sure. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's jump back into the screen, move some of these windows around. All right, cool. Let's go back. Lamar Jackson. Let's see if he could go season by season and look at his receivers, right? So 2021 Baltimore. Let's see these receivers, right? Receiving. Mark Andrews. We know about him. Hollywood Brown, who we all know is not a number one receiver, but somehow, some way, inaccurate Lamar found a way to make him a 1,000-yard receiver. Okay? So Bateman, who was drafted high, hasn't really panned out. They dusted off Sammy Watkins for, I believe, the second time in Lamar's tenure there. Still didn't amount to much. But as usual, it was the Mark Andrews show, and they even were able to find a way to make Hollywood Brown a 1,000-yard receiver. But, Lamar can't throw the ball. He's inaccurate, so on and so on and so on. Okay? So we'll keep that in the pocket. Previous year before that. And again, that's with Lamar missing 5 games, right? Okay. All right, yards, receiving. Mark Andrews. Now, he didn't start a lot. He only played 14 games. He only started 2 games. 700 yards. Hollywood Brown, big drop-off. 769 yards, 58 receptions, 100 targets. This is more of the Hollywood Brown we're accustomed to, right? Mark Andrews, we're not accustomed to this, but at least they were decent in the red zone and getting touchdowns, right? But again, and this is the year they had Des Bryant. Y'all see it here. Let me make sure y'all can see that. Yep, Des Bryant here. Dusted him off. He had little to nothing left. Willie Snead. Miles Boykin. Okay? These are the names that have been on this roster. Where while Josh Allen is out there running around with Stephon Diggs, while Justin Herbert is running around there with Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, and Mike Williams, while Joe Burrow is running around there with Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, so on and so on and so on. Lamar is out here with Willie Snead and Des Bryant. Okay. Let's go to the year before that. And this was the 14-2 year. Okay? Mark Andrews did not have 1,000 yards. He did not even have 100 targets. Hollywood Brown had a very underwhelming year. Again, Willie Snead, Miles Boykin, and dudes, I've never heard of Jaleel Scott. No offense to him, but I've never heard of Jaleel Scott. Don't know who he is. So again, Seth Roberts. No offense to him. I have no idea who that is. And this is who Lamar has had. Yes, he had Mark Andrews, and I believe that this is Pro Bowl Mark Andrews. So Pro Bowl Mark Andrews is 64 receptions, 850 yards, and 10 touchdowns. That was enough to get into the Pro Bowl. I mean, the team was 14-2. Why were they 14-2? Because of what Lamar did. 1,200 yards rushing. Okay? So not only did Mark Ingram rush for a G, Lamar ran for 1,200. Why did he have to run for 1,200? Because he had Willie Snead, Seth Roberts, Miles Boykin, Chris Moore, and Jaleel Scott. That's why he had to run for 1,200. That's why. It's ridiculous. Like, what are we talking about here? But, Josh Allen gets Stephon Diggs. Takes a huge leap. Jalen Hurts gets A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. He takes a huge leap. Tua Tagovailoa gets Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Takes a huge leap. But, Lamar, do it by yourself. You did it that 1 year, allegedly 1 year. Go do it again. And then we still won't give you the money you deserve. But just go do it again. Come on, man. Come on. Like, the ridiculousness in this is hard to palate. It's hard to stomach, to be quite honest with you. It's too damn obvious. It's too damn obvious. All right, let's see. Anything new in the comments? Alexander Deshaun isn't worth $230 million. Not sorry I said it. I mean, if you find a sucker, I'm not mad at Deshaun for getting that money. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. Because the money is only going to continue to go up. See, that's the thing with the money that, the fact that let me see if I can pull this up here. Which tweet was that? Yep, this one. Okay. When you look at this money and then you realize, the money's only going to get up here. Not necessarily player salaries, but the revenue. They have a goal of $25 billion in revenue. That's what the NFL is looking to do. Once you realize that's the money, why wouldn't you ask for $230 million? Why wouldn't you? The number was creeping towards 200 anyway. Russell Wilson went out there and got what? All right, well, let's go ahead and pull it up. Russell Wilson went out there and got how much? This keyboard's not in an ideal position, but yeah, Russell Wilson. Oh, there's a Russell Wilson at second base. Yeah, that's the same Russell Wilson, by the way. Yeah, Russell went out here and got 160, right? 5 years, 242. So you see the funny money on there. 242 million, 161 of it is guaranteed, right? So 160 guaranteed for him. How much did Raj get? He got 150 guaranteed. So this is fully guaranteed. 3 years, 150. Why aren't we talking about that? This is fully guaranteed. How many of y'all knew that? I know he was getting 60 million guaranteed this year. I didn't know the whole thing was fully guaranteed. 3 years, 150 million, and it's all guaranteed. So the money is getting around 200 anyway. Whether you want to pay the man that or not, it was going to get to 200 at some point. So if you can find someone to hurry up and just get you to that 200 number, then why wouldn't you take it? Whether you deserve it or not. Joshua. Coaches and staff who leave and are not fired when they do not do their job are only enabled not to care. Why should they do better? Sure. So yes, right? But I think the problem, if we're going down the Harbaugh thing, he had to get rid of his OC. So Roman's out. They have a new OC. The strength and conditioning coach was fired as well. So you can push the narrative right now that the Ravens are trying to clean up what's been ailing them in-house, right? You can sell that story right now because they do have a new OC who is supposed to have a more dynamic offense than just the Greg Roman, Lamar go out there and do everything style offense like he tried to run with Kaepernick back in the day. So in essence, they're trying to turn the page and start a new chapter offensively in Baltimore. The problem is, it seems like they're under the impression that Lamar might not fit that new page. And if that's the case, then just come out and say it. If they feel like Lamar is not a fit for what they envision the franchise offensively going forward, then just say that. Instead of this cryptic nonsense of, we're listening, we're working on it, and Harbaugh gives this glorifying quote of how much he loves him and all this stuff, and he wants him to be there and all this stuff, and we love the way he plays, and we love his mindset. Well, you don't love the way he plays and you keep using it to not give him his money. How much do you actually love it? How much do you love his style? I don't know. But this Aaron Rodgers money, 150 guaranteed. Yeah, that 200 number was right around the corner. Thank you for those who are checking in and hitting the like button. I appreciate it. Feel free to subscribe as well. Trying to build this channel here. Keep providing y'all with a different view on sports, a different view on sports talk, giving you unbiased opinions. I can say whatever I want, however I want. I don't have to worry about, does my boss have a league contract that, he has to answer to? None of that stuff here. I can say whatever I want. I can show y'all the content that I want, and we can have truly unbiased conversations. Something that hasn't happened in sports in a very long time. Words that I manifest. Welcome to the stream. Some people hate Lamar, and we know why. It's not about football. Sure, I can go down that road, but I'm not even going to say that, to be quite honest, because Deshaun Watson got his money. Deshaun Watson got his money, and that's, a few people have tried to come through here with the race card, and I will certainly call out when I think something is the race card. So don't fret like I'm not one of those. I ain't no Whitlock. But what I will say is I will definitely say when I think something is racial. So you don't have to worry about that when it comes to me and the content on this channel and the stuff that's been going on in the league. But when I do think something is the race card, please believe I will say it. I'm not ready to go there yet. There's been times where I have thought it. So there's no way, me being black, there's no way that I can't have that type of reaction at times with some of the stuff that, when you see, the Commanders telling us right now they're moving forward with Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett. Sam Howell played all of one game last year. You're choosing someone that played all of one game last year over a 25, 26-year-old MVP in his prime. When you're Arthur Blank and you're using tropes that just don't make sense. When you're telling me that his style of play, there's some concern over how long he can play his style of game when there's numbers and evidence to the contrary. Okay? Sometimes a part of me is like, man, is it just because he's black? But then I can't do that because Arthur Blank gave Michael Vick all that money back in the day. And Arthur Blank has been 10 toes down in ingratiating himself to the Atlanta Falcon fan base, which is, in comparison to other teams in the league, a good majority black. Okay, the Falcons, when you go to the Mercedes-Benz Dome or whatever the hell the name is now, it's a good chunk of black people in there. I covered the NFL for a few seasons and got to visit a lot of stadiums on game days. It's not a lot of black people in a lot of these stadiums. Atlanta's not one of those. Okay, so I have no problem calling stuff out here, but certain things I'm just not going to just jump out there just for the shock value of saying it. Let's see. Back to the comments. Let's get to a cleaner page. Let's use that page. I think we could see some of the words better here. Joshua. Yeah, on my end, and it is a little bit of both in New York, they are always noisy, but with the Ravens, they're always quiet. It is hard to know what to expect. Yeah, and that's kind of where you need reporters to be better. You need insiders to have actual sources. And a lot of the times, and I pull it up on the stream here a lot, where some of the stuff that they just say is, like I think yesterday we had the tweet of the Ravens have talked to the Cardinals about DeAndre Hopkins. So well, I hope so. But that's not news. That's not information. That's not breaking news. But in this era of just, you have to be the first one with the story, any piece of information, you can just take it and run with it and get content out of it and get clicks and retweets and hearts and all this stuff from it, then yeah, people are just going to value that over than, well, let me go really run down this story. Running down a story and sourcing it out and, the stuff that you see on The Athletic and I'm not a shill for them. I'm not, they don't sponsor me or anything like that. But, as someone that grew up reading Sports Illustrated and got into this industry initially as a journalist and as a reporter, and I covered St. John's basketball for a couple of years. I've been to NBA playoff games covering them for radio stations and so on and so forth. So I have that in my background. So I know what it is in terms of real journalism. You're not getting that right now. And I know fans don't really care. They just want the information. But telling me that the Ravens called the Cardinals about DeAndre Hopkins is not really information. Every team, when you hear about a player that's being traded or is thought to be on the block, every team calls. Hard stop. Every team calls. There's no magic stuff that's happening. Even if you know there's no chance of you getting that player, you still make the call just to check. Is it a fire sale? Is it a salary dump? Oh, you trying to get some assets back. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we're good. You made the call. But then someone in that front office, after that call is hung up on, someone in that front office then texts these insiders to say, hey, we reached out to the Cardinals about DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, let me tweet that out. Sources close to me are letting me know that the Ravens have reached out to the Cardinals on DeAndre. Like, it's literally just a phone call. It could have been a text exchange. They could have ran into each other at the owners' meetings. They could have shared an elevator or just asked, hey, what are you looking for Hopkins? Oh, just a first and a second. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we are not prepared to do that. Cool. All right, I just had to ask. That's it. But then that comes hitting down, Schefter comes out with that and boom, it's all over the place, million views. Like, well, what information are we actually getting? What is that information? So I don't know, man. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me, but I tend not to think it is. But back to the comments. Alexandra, when Daniel Jones gets money but Lamar can't, we have a problem. Yes. And here's the never forget, Daniel Jones wanted more money than Patrick Mahomes. Never forget that that's a thing that happened. Daniel Jones initially wanted more money annually than Patrick Mahomes. So when you hear people say, well, how can Deshaun Watson get $230 million? How can Lamar ask for even more money than Deshaun Watson? Daniel Jones and his agent asked for more money than Patrick Mahomes. Okay. I agree with you there in New York. They are always throwing money, even with an unstable QB situation. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at the Jets right now. I mean, they're moving hellfire and brimstone. They're cutting people. They're signing Alan Lazard. They're trading Elijah Moore. They're on the verge of cutting Corey Davis. All this stuff just to get Aaron Rodgers, who has 150 of them things guaranteed coming his way. Weird. And they might, and we've had the conversation here. I don't know if we have some of the same people here today, but I had people telling me that wouldn't even make them the leader in the AFC East. I think the consensus in the chat was the Jets would be third in the East, even with Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, then why the hell are the Jets moving hellfire and brimstone? I think they'd be third even with Zach Wilson. So if the consensus in the chat is that the Jets would be third in the AFC East even with Aaron Rodgers, then why are the Jets going through all this? I don't know. Yep, 150 guarantee for Rodgers. Yep, I did not realize that. That was interesting. I did not realize that. Okay. Yeah, just cut him then. Cut who? Cut who? Words that I manifest. Cut Lamar? Joshua, New York is a revolving circus. I agree. about avoiding the cryptic nonsense. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Josh. I'm glad, man. You know, I know you come on here and you have a different opinion than the bulk of the chat, and you still are 10 toes down in your opinions, and that's why I let you come out here and get your point across. Like, I'm not going to sit here and censor anybody. If we can agree to disagree, cool. If we can have a back and forth, cool. Like, I'm always open to have discussions, debates, whatever, just casual information. Like, I'm just here just trying to entertain y'all and give y'all a different perspective of this sports thing from someone who's worked in this game. So I'm glad you've been here. I'm glad you're here. Thank you, as always, for pulling up. Sub it to the channel. I appreciate it. It seems like lately it has been likely trying to connect the dots with the Ravens. Oh, that's facts. That's why, to me, that's the reporting I'm looking for. Where are the insiders that are actually not just getting information from the Ravens' perspective, which is clearly biased and one-sided, but taking information from Lamar's point of view and then from the Ravens' point of view and deciphering what's what and getting down to the nuts and bolts of it, of what's true and what's not, what's biased and what's not, what's shade, what's petty and what's not. Like, that's what it is. Like, that's, to me, what these insiders and these experts and these analysts should be getting to the bottom of. If you have all these insiders, how come you don't know what's going on? I mean, y'all remember the thing with Aaron Rodgers and Schefter? Lose my number, bro. Like, come on. Like, I just went on McAfee and announced to the world what it is. How are you going to then double back and text me to confirm it? Because that's the job. If y'all want to know why did Schefter reach out even after Rodgers went on McAfee, it's because for him to be able to say he's reporting it, someone has to tell him that that's what the information actually is. So in that case, he has to go to Aaron Rodgers and say, hey, is this true? You do intend to play for the Jets? Because the only way they can run with that graphic on ESPN and say Adam Schefter reports is by him being able to confirm that information, because he's their insider and they pay him a lot of money to be able to have him be the one to break this information. But because Aaron Rodgers went on McAfee dolo and spit it right there, he can't say that he reported it. And it doesn't look like he broke the story, which he still didn't break the story. But for ESPN to justify his contract, for them to justify throwing him on every show to be their guy, he has to have the cachet of, oh yeah, I broke that story, or oh, I confirmed, I reported on that story. That's how that works. If y'all didn't know, there's a little morsel of tea of how that insider thing actually works. Back to the comments. Boogie down. Harbs is full of shit emoji. Tired of him. He just likes to hear himself talk. I mean, yeah, he's not really saying anything worth a damn anyway. Look, man, they put him out there, and shout out to Bomani Jones. I don't know if y'all rock with him, but he kind of gave some tea and said that Lamar, through people he knows, Lamar was going to drop that thread of him, basically saying goodbye to the Ravens. He was supposed to drop that before on the Friday. Okay, that was going to be a Friday news dump like right now, right? But apparently someone in his team said, hey, hold up. Don't drop it now. We can synchronize this. And when Harbaugh is due to speak next week at the owners' meetings, that's when you drop it. I mean, that's real tea right there. That's real. And again, everyone's saying, oh, it's just him and his mama. I don't think his mama had that information. So there are people that are, with him, that are representing him, maybe just not in the traditional form of agent player. So, I think there's a lot there to where, Lamar is a lot smarter than people think. There's a lot more information that's going on behind the scenes, but that's real reporting, though. That's sourcing right there. That information didn't come from any of these Baltimore insiders, didn't come from any of these national insiders. That information came from Bomani on the podcast. Back to the comments, Joshua. I was surprised when Hollywood was traded before the draft. I saw a trade rumor about a Hollywood trade. I did not think they would do it until opening night. Yeah, and again, we know how close him and Hollywood is, right? We know how close Lamar and Hollywood is, and as we went through those seasons of the lack of talent, the only wide receiver worth a damn over those years is Hollywood Brown. And even now we know Hollywood, by and large, isn't really that good in terms of he's not number one receiver good. He's number two. He's a solid number two. He's a burner. But that was his mans. That was Lamar Jackson's mans, and they got him up out the paint. So again, we're talking about 5 homegrown players from the Ravens that have all asked to be traded. Lamar Jackson, Hollywood Brown, Orlando Brown. I think it was Chuck Clark, and Hayden Hurst. Something's going on in Baltimore, and we can't get any reporting worth a damn to explain to us why all these people want out of Baltimore. Why was the strength and conditioning coach so horrible that players literally left the franchise? Players left the Matthew Judon on his way out said, y'all need to fire that guy. Matthew Judon on his way out said, y'all better fire that guy. He's getting people hurt. Then what a coincidence. Lamar's been hurt the last 2 years. Oh, but he's injury prone. Let's not worry about the dude that's misdiagnosing injuries and bringing guys back too early from rehab and re-injuring themselves. Let's not worry about that piece. Let's just lock in on the fact that Lamar missed games, therefore he's injury prone. Even though the Ravens had to fire that guy because he was so bad, when the report came out that they got an F- for that guy, by far the worst strength and conditioning grade in the entire league. But Lamar's injury prone. Boogie down. Lamar is not the clean-cut, buttoned-up type of black QB, which is why he is not liked by the masses. He doesn't fit the mold of what these owners think a black QB should look like, sounds, act like. I mean, he rocked with Trump, didn't he? Lamar rocked with Trump. I mean, if anything ingratiates themselves with NFL owners, it's that. So again, I know Boogie Down definitely wants to push the race narrative, and I'm not going to tell him not to say that type of stuff. I'm just saying I don't think it's that clean cut to me. Trust me, Boogie Down, when it's that, I will be right. Look, I did a video on Draymond Green on the channel. Draymond Green said he wants to get rid of Black History Month. I aired him out. No one cared. Where were people at then? I think you were in the comments on that vid, but not a lot of other people cared. Like, this man's really took to his platform and said, get rid of Black History Month. But let's see. Alexandra. I feel like the reason the Raiders didn't grab Rodgers is the money factor. Well, the Raiders can't sign anybody because of the money. It's a miracle they got Jimmy G under the cap. The Raiders are a poor franchise. They don't have the money in escrow. They do not have the money available in escrow. And that's why they could never be in on Lamar, even though they should be in on Lamar. And Mark Davis wasn't really that forceful in saying they're out on Lamar, but at some point they had to go ahead and release statements like all these other teams did, collusion, right when they got franchise, when Lamar got franchise tagged. So yeah, the Raiders can't afford anybody. It's a miracle they got Jimmy G under the cap, to be quite honest with you. I'm really surprised they haven't tried to figure something out with Devontae Adams, to be quite honest, because like Josh Jacobs is on the franchise tag. They moved on from Waller. They let Derek Carr go. Like they're clearly rebuilding in Vegas. Now, there's a rumor out there about Brady and the Raiders. I'm not going to speak on that yet. It's a lot of innuendo. It's very similar to the Miami Dolphins thing with Brady a couple seasons ago. So if you know about that, then you already know what type of time that could be. But as of right now, I'm going to lay low on that story. All right, Boogie Down. You bugging, man. Come on, man. Joshua. Ronnie Staley was rushed too early, and he has gotten injured too in a large contract. I mean, again, look, the Ravens have, I'm telling you, dogs, like that strength and conditioning dude, that dude Sanders or Saunders, he really hurt dudes. He really hurt players, and he misdiagnosed, or they misdiagnosed the treatment of rehabbing a lot of injuries, and it made a lot of players be re-injured or hurt other body parts. Like, it's really bad. Like, I'm really surprised there's no lawsuit. I'm really surprised there's no lawsuit. All right. Boogie Down, pushing the race narrative. Okay. Well, I see. Here's the thing. I'll talk about this one here. B Moore is 70% black. If the Ravens were smart, they'd keep Lamar happy. He's being in a bunch of new fans. More fans equal more revenue for the franchise. How does Biscotti not understand this? Well, according to Ozzie Newsome, he's scared of that Deshaun Watson contract. And Ozzie Newsome was on the Bernie Kosar podcast, and he admitted as such that the Deshaun Watson contract changed how they view the Lamar thing, because, you know, they don't want to pay him $230 million. They don't want to have to pay him anywhere near that. And yes, Baltimore is very black. And just like Atlanta could take advantage of having a black quarterback who's really good in their prime, it's a little strange to me how Baltimore's not trying to do the same with Lamar Jackson. Tanya's pulling up. Tanya is our Ravens correspondent, if y'all don't know. Yeah, I was working. I will listen to the replay after this is over. I'm missing the long shot. Yeah, I mean, I ain't even realized. We're 2 hours in. 2 hours in. And thank y'all for pulling up. Thank y'all who have tapped in and hit the like button or subscribed. I appreciate you. So I appreciate it. Yeah, Tanya is our Ravens correspondent. She gives us the real inside tea on what she knows from a Ravens fan perspective. Alexandra thinks Brady is done. I mean, he's been done if we really want to go there. He's been done the last few years. He's just being held together by, I'm not going to say it, but, you know, there's things people can take to extend their longevity. So, you know. And especially as a Bucs fan, you should know that. He's done. But if he's able to take something and go to Vegas and have Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs in the backfield, it's not horrible. And McDaniels is his man's. It's not horrible. And if you know that Miami story about the ownership, we know who the owner is of the Raiders, right? Just saying. Back to the comments. Joshua, as a talent, I like Lamar. As a franchise, I have loved the franchise back from the Cleveland days. It is tricky where to go with all the silence. And that to me is the problem, Josh. Like having that silence is the problem. Where are the reporters in Baltimore? Are they? And here's another problem with journalism at times. When you're a beat writer, when you're a guy that covers the team, you have relationships within the team. That's how you get your work done, right? You have to have relationships. You have to be able to network, get information, all that type of stuff. Here's the problem with that, though. When you need to criticize the team, it's hard to do that because you need information from the team that then you could then kill them about when it's time to criticize them. But if you want to keep that access to the team, it's very hard to criticize them and still keep those relationships. And that's why we get the silence like right now. Right now, someone should be able to go into that Baltimore Ravens front office and the executives and all that and find out why 5 players have requested trades that are homegrown. They should also be able to find out how come the strength and conditioning guy lasted for so long, even though players current and before have all been begging you to fire him. Someone who has screwed up multiple rehabs, misdiagnosed, re-injured players that you are paying. This person is messing up the money more so than anybody. Lamar has missed 10 games the last 2 years. You think that has nothing to do with the strength and conditioning guy being so horrible and F-? You don't think that's impactful? The franchise player went and sought second and third opinions because he don't trust your people. And why would he when multiple players before him have said, yo, this guy needs to be fired. My injuries have been misdiagnosed. I have been re-injured because I've been rushed back from rehab too soon. Because the strength and conditioning guys and all these staffs, they're employed by the team, so they're biased towards what's best for the team, not the individual player. Y'all don't think that has nothing to do with this Lamar stuff about him being injury prone? I mean, if I can see it, I don't know why others can't. So Joshua, okay. So I need to keep track of who's a fan of what. So Alexandra, I know is a Bucks fan. Joshua, I had no idea you were a Ravens fan. Maybe I'm confusing you with somebody else who's been in the chat. But okay, that's good to know. I'll try to keep that in mind going forward. Tanya, sad part is the Ravens are too loyal to their employees. They need to not hire friends and friends of friends. It stalls the decision making. Saunders and Greg Roman should have been gone. Yeah. We've been talking about Saunders and Greg Roman. We've been talking about him earlier as well. It's very weird. It took them this long just to clean house. And look at what they may potentially lose. They've already lost Orlando Brown. They've already lost Hollywood Brown. I mean, make of that what you will, I understand, but still. And then all the other guys that have requested trades out of there, and now you have Lamar as the cherry on top. You potentially lost all of that because of a strength and conditioning guy you didn't want to fire. Do you understand how incompetent that is from an organization that once drafted Jonathan Ogden and Ray Lewis in the same draft? Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Joshua, I miss Mike Gruden, John Gruden. You miss Mike Holmgren, John Gruden, and Mariucci. Why? Well, Mariucci, you can see him on NFL Network if you miss him so much. Gruden, you ain't going to see him for a long time. You're not going to see Chucky for a long time. You can't be out here suing the league and then be on the league partner doing games. So good luck finding John Gruden. And Mike Holmgren, I haven't even thought about Mike Holmgren in years. And I'm someone who was a former Bears fan, so interesting. Let's see. The Raiders, okay, Alexander, the Raiders would have to eat some of the cap money, though, on Brady because Brady cap. No, I agree with you. I don't think the Raiders will be able to afford that. I don't think so. But here's the thing. The Dolphins weren't going to be able to afford it either, but they were damn sure going to try and do it. So my thinking is these capologists, they know how to figure it out. You know, if y'all don't know the Miami piece, I'll try not to recap the whole thing because there is a lot of layers to it. I'll make a long story less long. So essentially, when Brady sent out that tweet that he was retiring, that Schefter jumped out the window and thought he had confirmed, much like he tried to do with Rodgers. That was really a goodbye to Tampa Bay. Because if y'all recall, the Patriots fans got mad because they weren't mentioned in that goodbye. Because everyone's saying, oh, wow, he's retiring. Wow, he's retiring. And he didn't mention Boston. He didn't mention the Patriots because it wasn't a retirement. He was just leaving Tampa. So the plan was, I'm going to retire. Then I'm going to join the front office of the Dolphins, get an ownership stake. Once that goes through, I'm then going to unretire, work out compensation with Tampa. Tampa will then release my rights to then be a Dolphin. And then I'm going to replay and rejoin and be the starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. There's a lot of more moving pieces in it, but I don't want to sit down and break that down. But I have done that on my podcast, the DCMD podcast, if you want to check that out in the archives of that. I broke down that whole thing. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's very layered. So that's that. Tanya tapping in. The reporters are spitting the venom for the Ravens, Jeremy Fowler and Adam Schefter. That's why Lamar has to be his own voice, but he's getting crucified for fighting back. And that's kind of what always happens. When a player puts himself out there, when a player chooses to go against the grain, especially in the NFL, like the NFL is run like a military. It's run like the military. It's get down or lay down. Their way or the highway. However you want it. Spit or grease. However you want it. Like that is how the NFL gets down. Boogie down. Brady is washed. Who would still want him? Shit, there's a lot of teams that would still want Brady. There's a lot of teams, like, again, because you could fool yourself. Like, let's be clear. You could fool yourself. I give you a QB that can throw for 67% completion percentage, 4,700 yards, 25 TDs, and 9 interceptions. You don't think there's a lot of teams that would take that right now? Like, yeah, it would be year what, 20-something or whatever? All right, come off that. Okay, cool. It's year what, 20-something, right? But still. And the advanced metrics aren't horrible. Now, I'm not saying I would do it, but there are plenty of teams. You think if Washington could do it, you think they would really choose Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett over Tom Brady if they could? Like, these aren't horrible numbers. And this is with a bad offensive line. Mike Evans missed time. Chris Godwin missed time. Like, you know, I'm sure Alexandra could let us know for sure, and I'm sure she has her thoughts on it. But in essence, in terms of, I'm not saying he was actually good. I'm saying from a team perspective, a owner, a GM, a coach can fool themselves into looking at these numbers and thinking Brady still's got something left. So I'm not saying I would do it, but I really think, you know, there's plenty of people in the NFL, in and around the NFL, that would still think Brady's got something left. Tanya, the Ravens were mad that Lamar chose his own training and rehab staff because he was yeah, I'm telling you, that Saunders dude, I only got hip to it late in the year. I started hearing grumblings, but then it's fully been blown out this whole offseason. So yeah, that Saunders dude was really problematic, bruh. Really problematic. Boogie down. The O-line that's in Vegas isn't good enough. Brady need a top 5 O-line at this point to even be competitive. He'd get eaten alive. Yeah. Plus he can't move. So yeah, you know, the stuff that he's taken allegedly, it can't help you run. It could just keep you upright and healthy. Pause. Joshua, I was sympathetic to Art Modell when he moved to Baltimore. Art Modell brought the players. Cleveland promised the stadium. Cleveland broke their word and got mad when Baltimore welcomed them. Yeah, that whole thing with Modell is very layered. I don't know if you watched that 30 for 30 doc that they tried to do on the Ravens, but the whole Art Modell piece was interesting at the very beginning of that. Yeah, that's always curious. I don't know how I would feel if my team left and then a new version of the team came back. That would be really rough to try to digest. Joshua. Okay, so this is why he's bringing up Holmgren and John Gruden and Mariucci. I like those coaches because they brought offensive players. Remember Rich Gannon? Yep, I remember Rich Gannon, MVP. And Jerry Rice. Those guys seem not afraid to take risk, and they had an energy lately. The Ravens seem flat. Yeah, I'll take that. I agree with that. I think with the way the NFL is run now, I don't think there's a lot you can do in regards to a risk. Like, look at the risk that the Bucs took with Antonio Brown. That only happened because of Tom Brady. I mean, we know Bruce Arians was running around on TV, radio, everywhere saying, we are not signing Antonio Brown. Tom Brady walked into that front office, and next thing you know, AB was suiting up. So the shift has gone slightly more to the players in that regard than back in the day in the 80s and 90s and even into the early 2000s. So I think that's where the difference is now in today's league. Boogie Down, I'm a Lamar fan. I can tell. I can tell, Boogie Down. I am too. And I'm definitely not a Ravens fan. I'm not a fan of any NFL team. But because I've been in and around the game so much, work-wise, you just pick up on the game and like the game. I've always loved the game of football, but now with this job and this stream, I'm like, all right, now we got to tap in even more. And Lamar in this thing, and I'm always fascinated by the money aspect because to me, I don't look at it like most fans, where most fans are pro-management, pro-owner. Because of my background before I got into media, I was in healthcare and I was a union rep. I was a union delegate. I was fighting for employee rights, employee salaries, getting employees back pay and compensation pay and all that type of stuff. So I am sometimes biased, and I will admit when I'm biased, not like people on the For the Network who will hide their allegiances. I will tell you when I'm being biased, but I will tell you more times than not, I am going to listen to a player when they're complaining about something than a team or a owner or a organization. Because in most cases, the team, the owner, and the front office have the leverage. And players as employees, much like most of us in 9-to-5 life, or even if you're working from remote or whatever your hybrid, whatever your thing is, even as an entrepreneur, you still have a boss to report to. Even as a contractor, you still have a boss to report to. So unless you are 100% a business owner, most of us are employees of some kind, in some fashion. How we have this narrative of, well, I only support the team more so than the players who, work for the team, I don't know. Because without those players, you don't have a team. But that's just my logic on it, but. Boogie Down, okay. If Lamar leaves, you leave too. Okay, I'm not mad at that. I like that. I like that perspective. If you just like a player and you follow wherever that player go, I know a lot of people do that with LeBron, right? A lot of people have been Cavs fans, Miami fans, Cleveland fans again, now Laker fans. Who knows if Bronny pops up somewhere else, he might go to that team. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. Some people were Patriots fans because of Brady, and then they had to switch up and, become Bucs fans. That's a thing that happens. Alexandria Weapons perspective too. Joshua, just would like to hear some good news. All right, well, look, we can search the timeline to see if there's anything. Tanya and Boogie, is there anybody, I see y'all talk about YouTube content creators, is there anyone that's doing Raven stuff that's giving y'all insight to actually what's going on? Because I'm not opposed to having someone pull up on this stream. I have no problems bringing people on. I do interviews on my podcast at times. But even on this stream, if we can have someone who actually knows some information, like on what's going on with the Ravens, let me know, because we could definitely maybe potentially set something up, because I just want the information just like y'all do. Josh, I remember when Art Modell brought in Andre, right? Bad Moon Rising, Vinny Testaverde, and when they picked up Jamal Lewis. Oof, Jamal Lewis. Man. And they had Priest Holmes. Yeah. Okay, Alexander, you're a Buck fan before Brady. No, I mean, I will hope so. I will hope so. I support that. I support people that stay with their teams. You know, I was that when I was a fan. I was a Bears fan, and when they got their ass kicked by the Packers every year or the Vikings every year, they still found a way to beat Detroit because the Lions are the Lions. But more times than not, I would still just ride with my team. But seeing them trick off the Super Bowl, not having a respectable quarterback in my entire lifetime, I just had to get off that. I just couldn't do it. Buck fan long before Brady. Okay, I feel you. I feel you on that. All right, well, let's see. Let's see if we can find some new tea. Is there any new tea? Is there anything that's come down since we've been on this stream that we need to get into? I didn't even get to the NFL mock draft. Let's see. Let's touch on that real quick. Although this right here is always funny to me. I'll get through some of this other stuff real quick. Four-letter network will not reimburse talent to keep their verified status on Twitter when the platform discards check marks for those who don't pay for them. So this has been a big stir because Elon Musk is doing weird and harmful things to Twitter. And then we have Patrick Mahomes, man, to MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, saying pay $8 for the guys, as in all his teammates. And Mahomes' response was, can't, bro, I got kids. And then if y'all saw the LeBron tweet of LeBron saying, I'm definitely not paying that $8, then, you know, it's going to be a thing where there's going to be a lot more imitators. There's going to be a lot more LeBron Jameses on Twitter because he don't want to pay that $8. So be careful. I'm going to have to be very careful like on this stream going forward once those blue checks go away, because there's going to be a lot of fake everything. Like there's already fake Schefters, fake all of that. There's going to be even more after these blue checks go away. So that's something we'll be checking in on. In CBA news, I know most of y'all here are NFL, but this could be something that could affect NFL in a way. NBA minimum draft age will not change in new CBA. One and done remains. This is something that was thought to be an easy thing that the MBPA, the MBPA, that's what it's called, that they were going to be able to get rid of this. Get rid of the draft age, the minimum draft age, and you'll be able to be straight from high school. Again, that's not happening. So for the MBPA to bow down from this must mean they're getting something else. Much like with the NFL and the players letting go of the franchise tag in lieu of being able to smoke weed. So this is something like this where they're letting go of the one and done narrative or the one and done initiative. That means they're targeting something else that they want instead of this. So here's that mock draft. So Matt Miller, who I've worked with in the past, he does very good stuff. I would like y'all to venture and take a gander at this top 10. Is there anything here that stands out to you? To me, it's this. Let's see if we can get this ready. The Colts taking Will Levis at 4. Will Levis at 4. Stroud, Young, 1-2. That's fine. Will Anderson to the Cardinals. That's fine. Will Levis at 4. And despite the reports yesterday that came down about Jalen Carter and the Raiders took him off their draft board, allegedly that's not stopping the Lions potentially from taking Jalen Carter. And there was a report that a lot of teams are removing them from their board altogether. Not just teams in the top 10. And then the Raiders had to spin the block and refute that initial report, saying, no. He's still on our draft board. But which is it? Is it Uchiwali or One Mike? But the Raiders getting Anthony Richardson. Now, this would explain no Lamar, right? And by the way, if the Falcons get Smith and Jigba, good Lord. Maybe Desmond Ridder can't mess that up. If they go and get JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, out of Ohio State at 8 for the Falcons, and they could then throw out there Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Smith and Jigba. Oh, yeah, if Desmond Ridder screws that up, I don't ever want him to get another chance to play ever again. If he can't get it done with that, 2 stud receivers and a dynamic tight end, if you can't get it done in that dome, then yeah, bruh, it just ain't meant to be. So I think this top 10 is interesting. Y'all let me know if y'all see anything. Do you think the Colts should take Will Levis at 4? They apparently aren't all the way out on Lamar, but taking Will Levis means they're out on Lamar. Taking Anthony Richardson would mean they're out on Lamar. So if they take any QB, it's clear they're out on Lamar. Do we think the Colts are actually out on Lamar? Oh, Alexandria, Tampa is my home. Okay, you're from Tampa. Dope. That's dope. I mean, I think the Bucks have a real solid chance to right the ship. I don't like Todd Bowles, but I think there's a way that they still have enough talent there. And I think me and you have spoken about them getting Bijan. If they get Bijan, I mean, yeah, the QB position is still a mess, but I think that could be addressed later in the draft potentially. So I don't think Tampa's going to fall that far back from grace, especially, I mean, but I'm telling you, in that division, if the Falcons get Smith and Jigba, that NFC South, oof, good luck. Y'all better draft a whole shit ton of DBs. I'll tell you that. Joshua, I lost interest in Barry Sanders as a kid when he wanted to be paid for an autograph. Wow. I've never been an autograph guy. I've never cared. I don't know. Like, I understand, Barry Sanders. Look, he was severely underpaid his whole career in Detroit. So I think that had, and again, at that time, players still had to really earn their money. And I don't know who more than Barry Sanders actually earned their money, especially during that era. And who had to do, he might have been the running back version of Lamar, to keep it a buck with you. Look what help he had around him. What, Scott Mitchell? Herman Moore was nice. Herman Moore was nice. But what, Scott Mitchell, Eric Kramer, Rodney Peete? I mean, you talk about Basura. Tanya, I will watch the Ravens, but with Lamar not being on the team, the excitement and the wins will not be there. The Ravens fans that say Lamar can go, I'm riding with Lamar wherever he goes. All right, yo, so Boogie Down and Tanya are rolling wherever Lamar goes. And y'all know this stream will be right here talking about it. So we'll all be here to discuss. Like, the minute the Lamar thing happens, there will definitely be an emergency stream on this channel whenever the Lamar thing gets figured out. Whether he agrees to whatever to stay or if there's any type of compensation for him to go, this stream will be live and direct whenever that happens. Let's see. Yep, I do remember this, Boogie. Ravens had a chance to get AB before he went to the Bucs. Lamar was even campaigning for him. Yep, I remember that. Lamar campaigned publicly a few times for Ravens to get some receivers. They ignored him. Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Joshua, I used to go to Giants training camp when they were in town. I enjoyed the backup Kurt Warner over Eli Manning because he took time for the fans. Yeah, that sounds like Kurt Warner, especially with his story. And I'm definitely not surprised Eli wasn't all of that, because I think Eli is one of the most overrated players in history. I think he should not be a Hall of Famer, even though he will be in the Hall of Fame. But, you know, I used to do something on this channel called Trash Narrative. It's still my my channel banner. I'm working on that to update the channel banner. But I used to do a series called Trash Narratives where I would take popular narratives and just tear them down to shreds, because I'm kind of like a natural contrarian. And so like Jason Witten, I think he's a fraud. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. So I did like a video on that. Like, so Drew Brees is a scammer. People don't know the story of Drew Brees scamming people in New Orleans. I talk about that. Like, yeah, I kind of do stuff like that. If you're into basketball, I say it's ridiculous for people to think that Dwight Howard's not a Hall of Famer, all of that type of stuff. So yeah, definitely know about that. But yeah, Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer, and I'm not surprised he didn't take a lot of time for the fans, because he's a Manning. And that's all I'll say about that. Tanya's agreeing with Boogie. Lamar praised the receivers he had because he is a leader, but you can tell he wanted the help of his peers. Ravens didn't do it. Yep. The Wonderkind Show. Okay, you tell me that's who to look up? All right, I'll favorite that, so I'll be able to go back and check for that. Okay, I'll look up The Wonder Kid Show and see what's up. I'll tap in. Okay, you and Tanya are agreeing on that. Okay, bet. I'll look that up. Not sure on the Colts pick. I think the Bucs have an opportunity to right the ship, but Bowles for me is a no. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, Bowles is a... I'm really surprised they kept him. I think they're doing it just for continuity's sake. But I think he's on an extremely short leash. Joshua, I did not like the Giants, but I can sympathize for people who follow teams because of a player. I did not have a lot of money at the time, but always enjoyed a good fun. Yeah, man, that's that. That's what sports is supposed to be. I think sometimes we, or the public, and even sometimes the media, forgets that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this supposed to be fun. Watching someone with like Lamar's skill set, or any of these players here, even though I'm not the biggest Will Levis guy, he brings something, right? Like his tape, you can see there's something there on tape. I wouldn't take him at 4, but there's something there on tape. But all these guys bring something dynamic to the table, and we should be able to enjoy what they can do and enjoy their playing and their skill set and their talent and their IQ. And instead, we just get caught up in this guy's good, this guy sucks, this guy's underpaid, this guy's overpaid. And it's just like, all right, man, like, I just want to watch games. Like, can we just get to Red Zone and the Octobox and 7 hours of commercial-free football? Like, that's all I'm really here for. Long live Siciliano, by the way. Why is Will Levis so high? They're trying to pump him up as the next Josh Allen. So bad. Yes, he looks the part. In every sense, he looks the part. But yeah, I think with Will Levis, there's certainly a lot of that. And there's nothing wrong with having a copycat. This is a copycat league. Because, I mean, if we're really going to do... I mean, Will Levis, he threw for 2,400 yards, 19 touchdowns. Let me make sure I can see that. 2,400 yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 picks. He had 65 completion percentage. So, in comparison to Anthony Richardson, who threw for more yards but less touchdowns and one less pick in his completion percentage, and this is the problem. This is the thing here with Richardson. 53% completion, we'll round up 54% completion percentage. And this is why you kind of have to wonder, does he start next year? And this is what, there's been a big pushback. We talked about it early in the stream, but you can either just throw him out there and let him sink or swim like Justin Fields, or you could let him sit and you fix his mechanics like the Bears haven't done yet with Justin Fields. Because to me, even though I'm a former Bears fan, I still have a lot of Bear fan friends and know some people in the Chicago media. And the problem with Justin Fields is, as great as he is as a runner and occasionally as a thrower, is that his mechanics are bad. Not they need work, they're bad. So they need to work on his mechanics. And a lot of that you can see in Anthony Richardson, where he's erratic. The arm strength is no question. The touch on the ball is no question. But sometimes he throws it and you have no idea where he was intending to throw that ball. And you're not sure if he even knows where he was intending to throw that ball. So the 53% or 54% completion percentage is going to be the bugaboo for Anthony Richardson. When you could go down here to Will Levis and he's 65. He's more ready-made right now. He's the safer pick. Anthony Richardson, people don't like the term project, but to me, he is a project. He did not have a first-round grade coming into this year, by and large, consensus-wise. He did not have a first-round grade. The combine really shot him up. I mean, you're looking at all the QBs here. We could do that one. CJ Stroud at 66%. Bryce Young at 64.5%, so 66. Then you have Richardson at 53. And then you have 65% for Will Levis. That's a real thing. Hopefully y'all enjoy that spotlight. I didn't mean to break the spotlight out today, but hit the wrong button on the keyboard and therefore you get spotlight. Let's see. Alexander agrees. Eli is definitely not a Hall of Famer, but Peyton actually saw him and he was very nice to the fans. Okay. I mean, I think, I think the first part is true. I'm going to go with your opinion on the second part. I'm sure Peyton is nice. I mean, after that thing in Tennessee, I would hope so. Allegedly. Let's see. Joe Montana said Sunday was the day he had the fun. The rest of the week was work and going to the job. Yep. I remember him saying that, and a lot of players have echoed that same sentiment. Like I think even Ray Lewis said, the game, he would do the games for free. Like the games you could pay, he would play the games for free, but he's getting paid for, the rest of the days of the week. So yeah. Alexander breaking down Will Levis. Let's go. He has some intangibles that Will Levis has that might translate really well if you give him a line and some weapons. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's kind of the bare minimum for all QBs, but I think for sure with a young QB making a transition, I would definitely agree with that. Anthony Richardson reminds me of Matt Ryan, only with a stronger arm and mainly because both were not accurate. The only thing Matt Ryan had was more experience. That's an interesting comparison. That's definitely not one that I've seen. So I will give you that respect. Interesting. I'm going to have to look that up and see if that's something, because sadly, and I don't know if this is race driven or not, but the main comparisons I've seen for Richardson have been to Justin Fields and Cam Newton. And certainly size-wise, you see why, with him being 6'4.5" and 244 pounds. And if you saw him at the combine, he looks like an Adonis. But the Matt Ryan thing, let's see. I got time today. We pushing up on 3 hours again. 2 3-hour streams this week. I really dig that y'all are tapping in like this and sticking with me. Let's see. Well, completion-wise, I mean, he dipped below 60 the 1 year. I don't know, Josh. Was he that erratic? Was he erratic out of BC? I don't know. I don't know if do we have his college stats? Defense, fumble, snap count. I don't think we have the college stats. Fantasy, combine, measurables. How about Matt Ryan running a 4.8? A 4.840. Nope, I don't think we have the college. All right, let's see if we can look this up real quick. I'll come off the screen. See if we can look up the Matt Ryan BC stats. Oh, wow. There's another Matt Ryan. Okay. Not him. BC. All right. Found it. Let's see. I mean, 60%. I mean, certainly as a freshman, that was horrible, but he only played 7 games. But, he was hovering around 60. I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, see, that's the thing. I don't remember that much of Matt Ryan at BC. Didn't he have a big game against Notre Dame, I want to say? Didn't he have like a coming out party game against senior year passing percentage was lower than 60%? Yes, only by 1% though. Like, I feel you, but only 1%. He threw for 4,500 yards. I mean, yeah. I mean, look, I think in comparison to Richardson, who has a sub 60 completion percentage, that might be a bit of a reach. But I think in terms of height, where we at with Matt Ryan, 6'4", 217. Richardson 6'4.5", 244. Josh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to put a square into a circle hole for you. Pause, but I don't know. Let's see where we at here. Thank you for those who are continuing to pull up and just tap in, even if it's for a few minutes. This is normally just an hour, but over the last, especially this week, we've been rolling. We've been going 3 hours, 2 hours, hour 45. So clearly there's enough football content to get into. There's enough tea. There's enough discourse that we can all have back and forth to make this stream keep going. But thank y'all for pulling up. Thank y'all for pulling up. Thank y'all for those who are continuing to pull up. Thank you for those who have subscribed. I appreciate it. Thank you for those who are hitting the like button. Let's see if there's anything else we can get into. Dove's been quiet today. Where is Dove? What's Dove up to today? No news dump Friday? Nobody's trying to sneak a story out on the way out? Oh, yikes. How many of y'all play Madden? EA Sports has announced they're laying off almost 800 people. This is despite the fact EA reportedly generated approximately $7 billion in net revenue last year. That's a lot of Madden, bro. That's a lot of video games. That's a lot of video games. That's a lot of VC. Telling you, man, can't trust these games, man. I never buy games. I don't know if any of y'all are gamers, but I never buy games full price anymore. Never. Games are too damn expensive. $70 for a game. I have a PS5, but like even when I was on PS4 and they were $60, I still wasn't trying to pay that either. But imagine they're laying off 800 people despite generating $7 billion in revenue. Amazing, bro. Amazing in all the bad ways. Like, how do you justify that? How do you justify that? That's sick. That's sick. Alexander, I'm interested in seeing how the draft shapes up. Yeah, I think this draft is going to be really interesting. I think there's the top 10. We'll know what type of draft it is, how the top 10 falls. I think that's going to be something that will set the tone for the draft. Who trades up, who trades down, who trades out. Like there was talk. I think it's just smoke. But remember, there was talk even that the Panthers might trade out from 1. If they get the right offer, they're not afraid to trade back out from 1. So that's something, that could be a thing. Get a lot of Anthony Richardson talk. I see you, Josh. I'm going to get to you. I see you, Josh. I think whoever gets Richardson, but this is Boogie Down, I think whoever gets Richardson should use him on certain packages to ease him in. Don't start him then midway or towards the end of the season, let him start. Yeah, I think it'll be the Desmond Ridder playbook where Mariota held it down for the bulk of the season and then he got hurt or they just decided no more Mariota and then it was Desmond Ridder the last 4 games. I think it could be something very similar to that. Or even like with Matt Ryan, but he got benched when before they brought in Saturday the coach, Jeff Saturday the coach. So something similar to that. So I can see that. Josh, I was comparing the accuracy percentage. What was Anthony Richardson's football IQ? All right. I will see if I can find that. Is that a stat that is quantifiable and something that is searchable? Because I have no idea. I have no idea. Anthony Richardson. Okay, so we have his raw data. I mean, he almost hit 60 his redshirt year, right? I guess his redshirt year. I guess sophomore year, right? That's weird how they have that. I don't know if football IQ is that an advanced metric? Well, this is why to me, like he's a project. Like we could just keep this straight up and down right here. The fact that he has 1 year, you're going off of 1 year. So whether he's a junior or not, it's 1 year. Like you're basing this off of he is going to continue to evolve. Whereas Will Levis, to me, is more of a ready-made product. And certainly if we're still doing the Matt Ryan comparison, we have way more data and information on Matt Ryan than we do now with Anthony Richardson. So Will Levis, again, you see it here, especially when he left Penn State, 2 years back-to-back of raw data you could process from, enough tape, enough film you could process from. So I don't know if, Richardson is definitely a project. And if we want to do the rushing thing, that junior year, not so much the senior year. It looked like he didn't try to run at all. But, in terms of rushing that senior year, he could even run around a little bit. So even Will Levis is mobile. Oh, you guys see this here, a little rumor thing. Minnesota? I don't know how that would happen, but yeah, how would that happen? How would Minnesota be able to get Will Levis? Where are they drafting? 23? They're going to trade up? How are they going to get Will Levis? See, this is the thing. People just be putting stuff on the internet. And it's like, well, how do you expect the Vikings? I would not be surprised if they draft a quarterback because Kirk Cousins is finally getting to the end of that deal. And they don't want to extend him because they shouldn't. Because they shouldn't have never gave him fully guaranteed money in the first place because he had never been the first guy to ever get fully guaranteed money, but it is what it is. They should draft a quarterback. I just don't know how they're going to get to 23 and get up into the top 10. There's been rumors about them dangling Dalvin Cook. I don't know if that does anything for you. You know they got Madison behind him. Or Mathewson, or however you say that, behind him. So in theory, you could just go with him as the starting running back because he's been able to step in and fill in admirably in Dalvin Cook's absence. So if you dangle the 23rd pick and Dalvin Cook, is that enough to move up to get into the top 10? And what number do you need to get Will Levis? Who are you looking at here? Who would take Dalvin Cook? If you're the Cardinals, would you do it? I like, see, this to me is the fun part about draft time. This right here is where I get to just put my brain to work, put these rosters, who has a need at what, so on and so forth. How can we get this done? So if we're doing Dalvin Cook and the 23rd pick, how high can that get you? Because if you're trying to get Will Levis, you got to get into the top 10. So where are you getting in the top 10 with Dalvin Cook and the 23rd pick? Are you getting to, you can't get to the Raiders, right? They got Jacobs on the franchise tag. I don't think you're getting to the Lions. And then that's also within the division, so they won't do that. Seattle has running backs already. The Falcons? But again, that's with them taking the DB. But where was the one? Matt Miller got them taking JSN. So who knows? But if they're not taking JSN at 8, I wouldn't mind scooping up Dalvin Cook, even though they got Cordell Patterson. Algiers was a nice find last year. I don't mind getting Dalvin Cook and pairing him with Ritter. Because again, if they're all in on Ritter, you better surround him with everything. You better surround him with everything. Treat him like Jalen Hurts. We're going to give you everything so you cannot fail. We're going to make it be impossible to fail. Yes, we got Devonta Smith. We got Dallas Goedert already. We got Miles Sanders and all these guys already. Guess what? We're going to go get you A.J. Brown, too. We're going to make it next to impossible to fail. If the Falcons are on that type of time, then I can fall back on the whole Lamar to Atlanta thing and how I think it's a travesty of justice, a miscarriage of justice, if you will, of the Falcons not going out there being aggressive and getting Lamar. If that's the plan, we're going to Jalen Hurts this thing out. Jalen Hurts is a second-round QB. Now we got Desmond Ridder as a third-round QB. We're going to hand him the keys and surround him with top-tier talent at every skill position and make it next to impossible to fail, and let's see how far we can get with it. Then I'll fall back. But if that's not the case, then it's open season to Arthur Blank, and he's scared money. Alexander, shoot, holy cow. Yeah, that's crazy, right? It's crazy, right? You play Madden? Dope. I did not buy this past year's Madden, and I wanted to because of the whole thing with Madden on the cover or whatever, but I got a lot of mixed results from the homies who play, and I kind of don't like just playing just because it's an updated roster. Like, I'm still playing MLB The Show 21. Like, I didn't get last year's game, and I'm debating on getting this year's game, even though they got the Negro League function in this year's game. So I might be tapping into that. But again, I don't want to pay $70. Not trying to pay $70, dog. I'll wait for MLB 23, MLB The Show 23 to go on sale. Then I'll probably make the jump. But it's hard to justify because a lot of these games aren't that great like back in the day. They're just roster updates. You're just buying it to get the fresh updated roster. They used to allow you to be able to update the rosters in older games and just bring the new roster into the old game. Like you could bring the 2023 roster into the 2021 game. That's what you used to be able to do. I'm sure there's a way, but it's a lot of work. Let's see. Joshua, other games mostly. Boogie down, I think completion percentage is an overrated stat. Lamar only had a 57% completion percentage coming out of college. Yes and no. I think there's a certain baseline. If you're under the average, I think that's alarming. Like the baseline completion percentage in the NFL now is about 60%. If you're not hitting 60%, I think that's a little alarming in today's NFL. Because again, you have to understand, and I'm sure all of us here watch football, like there's a lot of check downs. There's a lot of wide receiver screens. There's a lot of, just simple little out routes, quick outs, quick slants, hot routes. Like there's a lot of simple, easy throws that are being incorporated into the game. Shovel passes. Like if you can't hit 60%, that's a red flag to me. Now, in terms of more than 60%, like 68, 64, 65, that to me is negligible. That to me is not something that I would go crazy about, right? Because you hit the benchmark. It's like in the NBA. In the NBA, the everyone's shooting threes, right? The average used to be like 34%. Then the whole Steph Curry, Damian Lillard thing happened, and now everyone's shooting threes. Now league average is like 36, 37%. So now when you look at someone's stats, when you look at someone's stats and they're shooting, 36% and they want praise, I'm like, well, that's the average now. I'm not giving you props for that. But if someone is claiming to be a shooter, like Russell Westbrook shoots 29, 30%, that's a problem. That means you can't shoot. You're not even the average NBA player at this fundamental thing. So that's why I tie it to with completion percentage. If you're sub 60% and not like 59, like sub 60%, like if you're like 54, 55, 56% completion percentage, that's a red flag to me. In the league, not in college, in the league, 60% is the average now. So once you hit that parameter, I don't care how much higher you get. So I do think that stat can be overrated, but I do think you still have to be at least average at that metric. Let's see. The Wonderlic, we're having a Wonderlic conversation. The Wonderlic scores or academic tests, they don't see how to use that for football IQ. Yeah, I don't get into any of that stuff when it comes to the Wonderlic. There's some problematic stuff with that. A lot of the times the Wonderlic can be biased, similar to the SAT. If you know, you know. I won't go too much into that. So I see you in the comments, Josh, going back and forth about it, and Boogie Down and Alexandra. But yeah, I don't get into the Wonderlic stuff because I think that's a flawed metric in regards to judging how smart someone is. I don't think that has anything to do on the field, and there's been a number of players who have said as much, and some of those players have not looked like me, and they have said that same thing. So I don't get into the Wonderlic stuff. Let's see. What's my take on Malik Willis? Oof. Man, do we have to? I'd much rather talk about Hendon Hooker. But let's see. Oh, damn. I liked him coming in. I think he's on a horrible team. I liked him going to Liberty and getting an opportunity to play. The problem is that Tennessee is so bad right now. It is not built for a young QB like him who is still raw to succeed. This roster is not made for him to win. If he's not handing the ball off to Derrick Henry 25 plus times, there's not a lot for him else to do. He's not Justin Fields. He's not Anthony Richardson. He's not Jalen Hurts. He's just not that. Because I don't think he even ran that crazy, unless I'm mistaken. He did run pretty well. I don't know if this translates in the league, though. Running like this at Liberty and running like this in the league is different. You see it here. Like, I don't know if that's going to translate. I don't know if the speed he had to run crazy at Liberty, I don't think that speed is going to translate in at the pro level. And that's why I'm kind of quiet on Malik Willis because I don't think he's going to get a fair shake here. Because the roster is not good. I mean, they traded away A.J. Brown. They cut Robert Woods. I mean, I don't think there's much there. I know they're high on Westbrook. I know they're high on Nick Westbrook, but I don't think that's enough there. Have they done anything in free agency? Have they signed anything offensively in free agency? Where are they at in the draft? There they go, 11. Man, if Smith and Jigba is there and they don't take him, I know they need O-line help. They got rid of Taylor Lewan. But if JSN is sitting there at 11 and they don't do it, that's hella problematic. Hella problematic. And who knows? They might still go with who is your man's? Who's on that team? Damn, I just saw him too. Dobbs might be in the mix to start there too. So I don't know if Willis is even going to be the starter there, unless I missed something. Wow, a Ray Caruth mention. Hilarious. I will not read that out loud for the public, but y'all can read that. That is pretty funny. Tyrod Taylor? Isn't he still on the Giants? He's backing up Danny, right? He's backing up Vanilla Vic, right? Pretty sure that's what's happening with Tyrod. Yeah, still on the Giants, I believe. I don't think that was a one-year deal. Boogie Down, there's rumors that Bill Belichick might be on the hot seat. If this is true, do you think that could propel him to go after Lamar? Lamar would make the Pats contenders if they add another receiver. Well, that's certainly been the T. I don't know if there's any legitimacy to that, to be quite honest with you. Like, if we're talking about Lamar to the Patriots, then you have to believe they're going to have to pay him, right? Like, they would have to pay him. Because I don't think whoever trades for Lamar is going to be able to get him to just come in and he's still going to sit on that tag. So you're trading for him and you're paying for him. That means Lamar's going to be there long term. To be quite honest with you, and, you know, I'll come off the screen so I can find the Asante Samuel tweet. I'm more inclined to listen to Asante Samuel say, yo, I don't know if you're going to play for Bill, bruh. Let me see. Where is that tweet? Let's see. And, yep, here we go. Let's see. Found it. Give me a sec. I mean, Asante Samuel, Lamar Jackson, my brother, trust me, you don't want to play for Belichick. That's pretty damning. It's pretty damning. So I don't know. Like, again, to try to make, and he has not deleted it. So he's standing firm. The tweet is still up. It's still there. You see how many views it's got, right? 11 million views, almost 12 million views off this one tweet. So it is making the rounds for sure. I don't know if you're Lamar, if you just, here's the thing with Lamar. And I know, might as well just put it back on Lamar. If we're at the place where there's no coming back to the Ravens, and it looked like his tweet from earlier in the week, his thread earlier in the week was somewhat a quasi goodbye to Baltimore. Does this mean you're just willing to go anywhere? Like, at least with Deshaun Watson, the reason why he went to Cleveland is because they overpaid him to make him not go to Atlanta. Are we sure Lamar will have two teams going for him to give him the leverage to do a move like that. If your only option is sit out or go to New England, but you'll get your money, but it's New England, and a guy like Lamar from Florida in Massachusetts, I don't know, man. We just talked about how Baltimore is a great black city and so on and so forth. One thing Massachusetts is not is a black city, black state. In New England, I mean, yeah. So I don't know. And then just the whole thing of Asante Samuel jumping out here saying you don't want to play for Belichick. I'm not taking that lightly if I'm Lamar. Boogie down. It seems teams are learning from the Ravens' mistake. Build around your young athletic QB early. Yeah. And, here's the thing. Like, it's not like that. Like, this isn't something new. Like, that's the weird part about it. Like, everyone references the Seahawks in terms of what they were able to build around lucking into. Like, don't forget, they lucked into Russell Wilson. Right? What was he, a third-round pick? They lucked into that. That was not some magical plan that they crafted. And everyone references how the Seahawks built that team up with that, and they took advantage of him being a low draft pick, and they didn't have to really pay him as much money because he was a lower draft pick than usual. But that's always been the case. It's only been a few instances where teams have had young, dynamic quarterbacks and they have refused to give them help. Like RG3, who were his weapons in Washington? We're going down a real rabbit hole tonight. It is a Friday night. We are over 3 hours on the stream. Thank you for those who are still here. Thank you for those who have came in and left. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you've been here for almost 3 hours or you've checked in for more than 10, 15 minutes, you haven't subscribed, then I don't know what more I need to give you to subscribe. But anyway, Robert Griffin. Let's see. Let's take peak Robert. Come on. God, why does this website do that? Get off that and then go down. Okay. All right. Good Lord. It was only 1 year. What a joke. 2012. Oh, no. Didn't do it right. 2012, Washington. Okay. Who was on this roster? Receiving. Yards. Pierre Garçon. Santana Moss. Leonard Hankerson. Fred Davis. Josh Morgan. This is who they gave Robert Griffin. Like, only on a few occasions has a team not realized what they had and have left him for dead like this. The Washington football team, I know they were a different name at the time, but it's a slur and I don't speak on that name. So the Washington football team left Robert Griffin III for dead. Pierre Garçon, Santana Moss, Leonard Hankerson. Come on, son. Come on, son. Joshua, I'm not sure if anyone expected the damage of the Watson contract that was truly criminal. Which part was criminal? Because, those contracts are going to go up. If Aaron Rodgers is getting 160, Kyler Murray is getting 189, the only number after that is 200. And that's the thing that I don't understand why the Ravens are having such a hard problem with this, is that once you hit certain numbers, like where do you think these numbers are going to go? We just showed the salaries of how cheap they're able to have their labor in comparison to the billions in revenue that they're able to bring in. Where's that chart? Did I move off that chart? Oh, I think I might have moved off that chart. Barnwell. Yeah, I've moved off that chart. But anyway, it was like 3 point something million per player. That's the average salary in the NFL, which is, way under the NFL, which is way under the NBA, which is almost on the verge of 9 million. But yet the NFL is on the verge of building out $25 billion in revenue. So what's criminal about that contract? Just because the owners don't agree, that doesn't make it criminal. That just means they're trying to be stubborn and don't want to evolve to the clearly changing times. That part to me is criminal. When you don't see that your business is evolving and changing in front of you, then that to me is criminal. Boogie down, someone comparing Malik to LJ coming out of college. Yeah, I would never trust those people ever again. I would never trust those people ever again. If that, I don't know who those analysts were or who those insiders or experts were. In what I saw of Malik, I never thought, oh, he's like Lamar. I think that might have been more race-driven than anything else. Like, oh, he's a black guy. He can run around a little bit and throw. Oh, yeah, he's Lamar. No. It's not that easy, bruh. I don't think people understand how great Lamar was at Louisville. I think people just assume any QB that can be mobile could have done what he did at Louisville, and that is just not the case, especially for someone like Bobby Petrino. That is just not, that is not something simple to pull off. Let's see. How much more do we want to go tonight? All right. Let me do a check of the timeline. We'll go to Dove's page. He gave us the Madden thing, so that's interesting. The Raiders' recent draft history has been pretty awful. Okay, let's see. Well, this is all, Mike Mayock and Gruden, right? This is all them. This is all the Mayock-Gruden thing. And Josh Jacobs, first chance he gets, he's gone. He's on the franchise tag, and he's probably going to be on the tag again next year. And then he'll probably be a free agent. All these players, and there's only one left. And it's not like these players have gone on to be stars elsewhere. I mean, Ferrell was such a reach. I mean, that Ferrell reach was crazy. Abram, you thought there was something there. He still might be okay, but certainly not with the position he was drafted in. Let's see. Yeah, there's not much going on here. Nope, don't want to show no footage. All right, we might be done. I'll leave it here on Madden for those who want to see how a company could generate $7 billion in net revenue and could still lay off 800 people. Because those are the times that we're in, unfortunately. All right, so we're 3 hours in. We will hit the comments one last time, but we are wrapping up. Send y'all off into the weekend with a 3-hour stream. We began the week with a 3-hour stream. We're ending the week similarly with a 3-hour stream. Joshua, I was joking, but the deal may have robbed us of our starting QB. Yeah, unfortunately. But I don't think so. I just don't know why they just don't pay him. And I mean, I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record, but I just don't know why. I don't know why they just won't pay the man. Offer him a market value contract and he would sign. If he's saying it doesn't even have to be fully guaranteed. That was the report the other day, right? It doesn't even have to be fully guaranteed like Deshaun Watson. It just has to be more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson. There's your out. Backloaded with funny money. Give him a 10-year, $500 million contract. But the guaranteed money is only $250. I think Lamar would sign that tonight. He just wants to beat the Watson number because that's the market number. That's the bar now. Why the Ravens are trying to play tough on this is really beyond me. And they're not saying anything. They're not leaking anything. So the problem to me is like, well, then as much as the media is asking for Lamar to speak, then your man's in the front office with the Ravens ain't speaking either. What's the justification for not signing him after the third year? After what he gave them. And I'm sorry for those who are seeing that name. That was not my thing there, but you know. So, again, and we did some of this last night, but just to confirm for those who may be new here or catching this on the replay and didn't see Thursday's stream, these are the numbers. Even coming in as a rook and finishing off the year 6-1. Then the breakout year, the MVP year. Then the next year, after the third year, which was really good and compares a lot with Josh Allen, except for yards. But in regards to everything else, like it was on the level of what you got from Josh Allen. And Josh Allen got $150 million. I believe the contract was $256 total value, but only $150 was guaranteed. They could have offered that contract and just add a little bit more guaranteed money. Lamar probably would have took that, but they didn't. So what was happening in these 3 years that made them think we're not even going to offer him an extension? Or if they did offer him an extension, what was it? Is that the 3 years, 133 that Lamar tweeted about? Because if that's the case, then yeah, you messed up. That has nothing to do with Deshaun Watson. That has nothing to do with Deshaun Watson. If Josh Allen gets $150 million guaranteed, and you try to offer Lamar 133, what do you expect him to do? What you think because he don't got an agent, he can't read that 133 is less than 150? He needs an agent to tell him that? His own mama can't tell him that 133 is less than 150? I don't know, man. I don't know. Joshua, if the Ravens do not draft a QB or re-sign Lamar, I would expect Harbaugh to be gone. I think there's something to that. Boogie down RG3, Cam Newton, Mike Vick, etc. Teams never built around athletic QBs. The Falcons tried with Vick. Who do you have? Peerless Price. Who was Roddy White? Roddy White was all right. Cam Newton, yeah. They didn't do that much with Cam Newton. Whoa, Boogie Down, you're saying the weapons RG3 had were better than anything Lamar's had? Come on now. Come on now, man. Come on now. Like, RG3 never had a Mark Andrews. Come on now. Like, do I have to go all the way back? Come on. Pierre Garçon. Hang on, let me charge up. 3 hour streams. The hotspot wasn't built for that. So let's see. Yeah, come on, man. Pierre Garçon. Like, he's a better name. I mean, at least Hollywood Brown hit 1,000 yards receiving 1 year with Lamar. But remember, he's inaccurate. Remember Donovan McNabb, except for the year they signed Terrell Owens. Yeah, he was mid. And he also didn't have a lot of weapons, right? Who he had? Todd Pinkston, Fred X. Throw up the X, yo. Fred X, Freddie Mitchell. He had tight ends, right? Who he had? Brent Selleck. Who was another Eagles tight end back then? McNabb had, and he had Brian Westbrook. Didn't he get the tail end of Ricky Waters, or was that before McNabb? Let's see. Yeah, that was because you can literally look at his stats and see the year T.O. pulled up. Like 21, 25, 17, 16, boom, 31. It's like, oh, that must have been the T.O. year. And also, completion percentage, 58, 57, 58, 57, boom, 64. Like, you can see when T.O. pulled up and you see the difference. That's why I do the same thing with Josh Allen. Like, you can look at people's numbers and then see a huge jump, and then people think it's related to related to the QB just getting better naturally. And I'm like, well, you can't go from like remember we spoke how sub 60% is bad, is a red flag. So rookie year, 52.5%. That's bad, right? 10 touchdowns, 12 picks. This is a bad year, right? But chalk it up to being a rookie, all that stuff, right? Then the team gets better, 10-6. The numbers get slightly better, 58.8. We round up 59. That's still under 60%. That's still a red flag. Even though the numbers, the yards got better, TD to interception ratio got better, still was a turnover machine, still took a lot of sacks, all of that. You know what the Bills decide to do? Oh, let's go get him Stephon Diggs. Next thing you know, boom, 69% completion percentage. He went from 59 to 69, in 1 year. He went from 53 to 69 in a matter of 2 years. Tell me that's all Josh Allen? This big of a jump isn't because of Stephon Diggs. 37 touchdowns, 20 to 37. That's all because they discovered, oh, well, let him run a little bit. No, Stephon Diggs showed up. So, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Boogie down. Let's keep the show rolling. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. A bruh gotta eat, man. A bruh gotta eat. Joshua, Greg Lewis. Yes, Greg Lewis. Wow, you're pulling that name was pulled out. That name was pulled out. Greg Lewis. Yeah, I remember him. All right. I think we're wrapping up here. Thank y'all so much for pulling up to this 3-hour extravaganza here on Timeline T. I am your host, the Sam D. We are heading into a Friday. I will do one last quick check of the timeline just to make sure. Nothing will be worse than getting off the air and then some big news drops. Let's see. Nope, not seeing anything. A lot of basketball. Are any of y'all into basketball? Because I noticed a lot of the content that I put here, I try to balance it out with football and basketball. But I noticed a lot of y'all are really here for NFL. So does that mean y'all are not here for NBA? Let's see. Because I definitely want to make sure I'm giving content that y'all want. If y'all don't like NBA or if NBA is not y'all bag, then, that's something I need to know so I don't waste my time pulling up NBA stuff. because the NBA playoffs are coming up. You know, the finals. I do a lot of content around the NBA. So, Joshua, always fun listening to you. Oh, thanks, Joshua. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're able to tap in with us, and I'm glad we were able to connect. And it's been very cool meeting y'all and getting a chance to communicate with y'all back and forth. Trying this YouTube thing was not something I thought I would ever do, to be quite honest with y'all, but being able to, have the equipment and have the tech know-how to be able to set this up. Any UFC, I do UFC in terms of like the big stuff, but I do have my guy, Ike Feldman. He does a lot of MMA. I've had him on my podcast. When there is something huge with UFC, how about this, Josh? You let me know when we need to do UFC, and I will have my guy Ike Feldman pull up. I will make sure he's here and we can do a tandem stream. But my guy Ike Feldman, I work with him at a sports radio station, WFAN, here in New York in the tri-state area. We work together there. He's a good dude. He used to actually be an MMA fighter. And now he's on the commentating analyst side of the game, much like myself. So he's a real one. So I could definitely get him on here, and we can go back and forth, and you could be in the comments like you are now, and we could really chop it up. So you keep me honest on UFC of when I need to have my guy Ike on, and I'll make sure Ike is here for sure. Yo, Boogie Down is really trying to keep me on this stream. How you gonna call Mark Andrews overrated? All right, man. See, when someone is out here, you throwing shade at Mark Andrews, it might be that time. Oh yeah, I'm into boxing as well. Boxing. I'll be out in LA for the is that the Garcia fight? The Tank fight. I'll be out in LA. So I don't know if I'll be able to stream. I'm out there for a baby shower. I don't know if I'll be able to stream, but I'm going to do some kind of content while I'm out there. There's talk of maybe driving down to Vegas for the fight. Not sure yet, but yeah. I'm a fan of all sports to keep it a buck with you, but I noticed here on this channel, like on my podcast, the NBA stuff has kind of really pushed my content forward. And my voice and my authority there as an analyst kind of grew from the podcast and doing NBA stuff there. Whereas here on YouTube, a lot of my NFL thoughts and opinions have kind of been the stuff that's pushed my content out there. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm not bringing stuff that the majority of my audience doesn't give two shits about. So, but if y'all into sports and just all sports and just whatever's relevant, then all right, now I know how to move going forward. But right now it's heavy NFL because, to be quite honest, having NBA kind of be in the lull right before the playoffs, college basketball, March Madness. I'm kind of out on college basketball these last few years I just don't like the product anymore. De'Aaron Fox had a great quote about college basketball of how the quality of it is just so subpar to NBA, and I couldn't agree more. So I'm kind of out on college basketball. So that's something where I don't really tap in. So I think this time right now is like the perfect time to just go heavy into football because we got the draft coming up. We have the Aaron Rodgers stuff. We got the Lamar Jackson stuff, Odell, DeAndre Hopkins, collusion, no collusion. Like there's all types of storylines. Josh, you live near Mike Tyson's hometown. Okay, well, you live near Brooklyn or you live near Catskills? Okay, so which hometown? Which hometown? All right. Let me just do one last check. Yeah, there's not much going on here. All right. Nothing new on the timeline. A brother is hungry. I appreciate y'all so much for pulling up. Josh, everyone else in the comments, in the chat, thank y'all so much. We back at it next week. So we back at it next week. I'll be here Monday, 4 p.m. How long? That's up to y'all. We can keep it an hour if it's quiet. If it's been a dead weekend, there's not much going on. But keep it a quick hour. Get in, get out. If not, we could do it 3+ hours like how we did it tonight, and how we did it on Monday night. So thank all of y'all for pulling up. I'm sure I'll be clipping off a part of this as a standalone segment on the channel. If you've missed anything, try to add some production value to that to kind of give it a little pizzazz and a little pop. But thank y'all so much for supporting this stream. Thank y'all so much for being able to pull up and drop a like. For the Sam D, this has been Timeline T. I'm Sam D. Somebody Jr. Have a good weekend.